The following is a presentation of the St. Louis Chess Club. Players left it all on the boards before the second rest day at the FIDE candidates in Cyprus. The field owes Anish Giri a huge thank you for finally slowing down frontrunner Javokhir Sindarov, stopping his impressive winning streak with a draw. Everyone's recharged and ready to battle. Day 8 of outstanding chess. Coming up next.
Hello chess fans and welcome to beautiful Cyprus. Round 8 marks the start of the second half of the FIDE Candidates tournament. Same players but colors reversed. But it's a good chance for many players to reset, refresh and push in the standings. But of course all eyes are on Javokhir Sindarov. Will he manage to maintain his lead? Is someone going to defeat him? Let's go to the studio and follow the action.
Hello everyone and welcome to our show Today in Chess. I'm your host Nazi Paikidze and I'm here with my amazing co-host Yasser Seirawan.
Amazing to be with you too, Nazi. Hello everyone and welcome to our show. Well, it was an epic first half for our tournament leader Sindarov. Can he keep it up? Trust me when I say many players on their way to coronation have slipped. Will he keep it up? Well, fireworks ahead. Nazi, honors.
Absolutely, Yasser. I can't wait to see it. Let's take a look at the standings so far in the open section. As Yasser mentioned, the first half was Javokhir Sindarov's tournament. 6 out of 7, absolutely incredible.
A performance for the ages, no question about it.
In clear second, but a full point and a half behind him is American Fabiano Caruana. Then 2 players sharing third place, that's Pragnanandhaa and Anish Giri.
For the ladies, the standings there.
In the ladies, there's also a sole leader, Anna Muzichuk, with 4.5 points, but only a half point behind her is Indian star Vaishali. And there's 4 players chasing the pack, sharing third place, Zhu Jiner, Alexandra Garyachkina, Divya Deshmukh, and Katerina Lakhno.
Jump into the pairings.
Absolutely, let's see what we are seeing for round 8. I believe we have Andrey Esipenko facing the tournament leader, Javokhir Sindarov.
Yep.
Then we have 2 Americans facing each other.
We're about to find
Hikaru
them.
Nakamura against Fabiano Caruana.
A huge pairing, of course.
It's the same rounds as round 1, just with reverse colors.
Right.
And then Anish Giri is playing Pragnanandhaa.
Huge game, actually.
Absolutely huge games. And as you can see, Andrey facing the leader Javokhir, Wei Yi against Matthias Bluebaum, Anish against Prague, and the 2 Americans, Hikaru against Fabiano.
Exactly, especially that Anish versus Prague game. Both players desperately searching for a victory. And we're very, very pleased to welcome our dear friend, Evgenij. We call him Mira. Mira, welcome to St. Louis.
Thank you. Thank you very much, guys. And yes, we are starting the second half of the candidates. And in some previous editions, people would say it's just a fresh tournament, forget what has happened. We cannot forget what has happened. One man is on 6 out of 7. Absolutely incredible performance by Javokhir Sindarov. Let's delve in. Let's see how he's doing today. Sindarov is black against Andrey Esipenko after somewhat offbeat, I want to say, line against the Catalan that Sindarov has played. Similarly better prepared, as is the case in most of his games. So he finds himself in a situation where some people would think, okay, Sindarov's a pawn down. However, computer is not that pessimistic. Apparently, the light squares around the white king provide black with some compensation. This last move, h7, h5, he wants to move pawn even further. And one of the lines computer provides is to go queen to e5 and back to c7, offering a repetition all of a sudden. So that's what we have in the leaders game. And let's move on to the clash of two Americans. Hikaru Nakamura, who lost his first round game against Fabiano Caruana with black, now has the white pieces. And it would be absolutely no advantage for Hikaru, I would say. No, no structural advantages, not so much space advantage. The only problem for Fabi is the rook on a6, which is stuck there a little bit and might need some time to regroup. I still think Fabi will manage to equalize, but he wouldn't mind getting a full-blooded battle. He wants to catch up with Sindarov, and in this particular position, it's very, very problematic to do. Yeah, so now after Hikaru's c4 move, you probably just drop the queen to b7 or b6, and then you'd be working on getting this rook to d8. So there is that. Anish Giri and Pragnanandhaa, you guys mentioned how important this game is for both players. So one who wins kind of jumps back into a race. The one who loses, well, that's tournament over pretty much. Anish's position is, well, looks very promising. Computer likes it. Computer was suggesting that he had even bigger advantage a couple of moves ago. But still, after his last move, rook to e1, black is not yet fully developed, not yet fully coordinated. So I guess black cannot simply develop with the move knight to c6 because it would drop the pawn. So computer suggests mere bishop return to c8. And white slightly better seemingly because of the structure. So bishop to e3, swap the dark square bishops, and let's try to prove if it's enough for Anish. He's known to be like a slow positional grinder, so I think that's a good scenario for him. But yeah, it's too early to say if he's going to win, but he is in the right position to do so. And finally, last but not least, possibly the most intriguing opening position, Wei Yi against Matthias Bluebaum. So this one started as the Vienna game of Bishops opening, and that's been a choice for Wei Yi for this tournament. And yeah, he had some success with this opening in the sense that he avoided major simplifications, very like standard lines. But success was very limited because he doesn't seem to have any serious advantage here. So rook a4 on a previous move was one fun idea, to swing the rook over to h4 or possibly even play g4. And Matthias's reaction to go queen to d5 and queen to d6 blocks the fourth rank once again for the white rook. So black is very solid, and again, computer claims no advantage whatsoever for Wei Yi. So out of 4 games that we have, I'm not sure. I guess Anish Giri against Pragnanandhaa is the most entertaining so far.
That's the one with the biggest imbalances. Thank you, Miro. And again, big welcome to St. Louis as we sent Maurice overseas to Cyprus. Tell us about the format for these two candidates.
Look, Yasser, it's an 8-player double round-robin event, which means players will face each other twice. And today they started that second half. They're not allowed to offer draws until black's 40th move has been played. Time control is 2 hours for the first 40 moves, 30 minutes for the rest of the game, but the increment only begins from move 41.
And the schedule of our remaining 7 rounds of play.
Sure, everybody enjoyed the rest day yesterday.
Yeah, I did.
Today they're back for round 8. They'll play 3 rounds without a rest day, and then there's still 2 rest days left. And the most important, of course, will be the final round on 14. But if there is no clear winner after that, we will see playoffs on April 16th.
Fantastic. And for Sindarov, it really has been a magical journey as he has performed simply a historical feat. His road ahead.
Absolutely. Today he's playing Andrey Esipenko with the black pieces, and he's the opponent that he struggled most against in this event.
In the first half, absolutely.
So Sindarov starts with 2 black pieces the second half, Esipenko and Matthias Bluebaum. And then in round 10, he gets his white against Prague.
How sweet it is. The players, beside the challenger title, they're playing for a lot of money.
Yes, they are. is a big prize fund for this event. Minimum is 700,000 euros. First place takes home 70,000, second place 45, third 25. In addition, each player gets 5,000 euros per half point earned.
Exactly. I'm jumping into the game between Hikaru and Fabi. In the first round, in the first half, it was Fabi on the white side who won a game that really had some ups and downs. Fabi was winning throughout, blundered badly, offered it, literally giving Hikaru a chance to make a draw. Could Hikaru get his revenge today? A vengeance he very, very, very much needs because he is off to such a bad start. Last few moves, Hikaru has played the move c3, c4. I like this move. I thought that if Hikaru does not play the move c4, the queen could simply land on the square c4 and just hang out. So, you know, that's a good spot. You're not going to hit me with anything. So I like the move c4, and I didn't quite understand this follow-up, bishop. I don't think that there's much of an advantage. Don't get me wrong. But I'm thinking if I'm white, the best thing I could hope for is to somehow, you know, post up my rook in the center of the board.
Can you keep the rook there after c5 for black immediately?
Okay, well, first of all, that's a very big question, right? Should I play the move e5 and try to get a passer, right? Or do I just drop my rook back and say, oh, isn't this wonderful? I've got the doubled rooks.
D file, but black can take control of the B file, so I think it's still even.
I'm not saying it's anything that I'm going to write home about and say, aren't I brilliant? But I thought that that was the most direct and clear route.
Let's try to figure out what is
Bishop
Hikaru's
e5.
idea.
You know, okay, it's nice if you, I don't know, on a very good day, get some kind of activity, but I really like Fabi's last move. I thought that really shuts down a lot. Essentially, the idea behind this move is not necessarily to challenge, not necessarily to challenge the D file, but maybe to get in an F7, F6, right? And just keep the king side nice and protected. I really like this move now. What am I going to do on the D file?
Black is completely fine and has equalized fully.
That's the way I feel about this
And Miro
position.
pointed out that Fabi's one problem might be the rook on a6. It's kind of misplaced.
It is.
But it quickly comes into the game, right? Rook can go back to a8 or b6.
Yeah. I like the idea of challenging the open D file, so I do like rook a8 to d8. But I think that this is really even, as Miro was explaining. And finally, let's immediately jump to the game of our tournament leader.
Andrey and Javokhir.
Absolutely.
Andrey's up a pawn. That's something that no one has achieved yet against Javokhir.
Exactly. But one of the things that Sindarov, for me, has been extraordinarily good at is literally staying ahead on the clock and exploiting any time his opponent gets into time trouble. As we were coming on air, if you'll see the difference between the clocks, 43 minutes, call it 44 minutes for Andrey, an hour and 17 minutes for Sindarov. Yes, it's a pawn down, but I like to look at what's on the board. What's on the board, you might say nothing's wrong with the bishop on b2, but what's right about the bishop on b2? Put it on g3, put the pawn back on g2, put the pawn on h3, and yeah, we're a full pawn up and every reason to expect to win. However, you start to see a lot of light square weaknesses with the pawn on g3, h5,
and that's exactly
h4.
Black's compensation. h4, h3 is coming. Black has a very active queen, and the knight can jump to the king side. So Andrey has to be a little bit careful on the king side.
Absolutely. I'm a pawn grubber. I like being a pawn up. I don't think that this, I think Black has really, I would say, sufficient compensation. Yeah. And there you have it.
Those are the two main games, but let's go to Anish Giri's game, because as Miro told us, that's the most exciting position we have right now.
At first blush, when I saw this position coming into studio, French defense. Obviously, it's a French defense. May not be a good French defense, but it's obviously a French defense. Exactly in this moment, I thought Black was doing very, very well. Like, really good if that light squared bishop, you know, could ever plonk itself on e4 or g6. And then I started looking at the position, like if I just make some natural moves, knight c6, a very natural move. The problem is actually white has this passive knight on c2 suddenly springs brilliantly into the game.
Oh, wow, it goes to f5.
It goes to f5 with a gain of tempo against the bishop steps back. And if you give white just those moments, I'm seeing a huge attack. I mean,
Yes, I saw the eval bar shot up all.
e5, e6 is on agenda, queen h5
I
is
think
on
you're just checkmate and knight f7, queen h5, everything's coming.
Exactly. Prague would be getting killed before he even settled down. So there's actually some venom in the position.
Can he slow down white's plan to go knight e3, knight f5?
Exactly. And maybe it's one of those things that visually the bishop looks good, but it's not doing so much. Maybe the idea is that you should be protecting the f5 square and putting the bishop on e6 and just saying, okay, let's chill. And then play knight c6, like reroute the bishop for a moment.
It looks good actually, but Pragg played bishop b7. I don't think he's either spotted or he's not afraid of knight going to f5.
Bishop b7.
That's the current position. So if Anish plays knight e3 right now,
Exactly.
with the same plans as you showed, Yasser,
Put the knight on f5 and go for the
I
attack.
don't think we can allow the knight to come to f5. That looked terrible for black.
Do you think he's
Queen e6 maybe?
queen e6,
But I'd rather
queen
have a
g6?
bishop on e6 and not the queen.
Agreed wholeheartedly. Queen e6, it's a nice square, except it really feels like it's going to be vulnerable to a strike, you know, like with a knight or queen. Okay, let's just have a look-see. If I went queen c2 with the idea of knight f5, the idea of
So you're
taking,
provoking g6.
I wanted to provoke
Yeah.
g6, but
Maybe rook c8 here.
but in truth, I was going after your pawn.
I noticed. I know you pretty well, so rook c8.
Rook c8. Okay. And if I do go?
Okay. At least my queen being on e6 helps a little bit. e7's protected.
True.
And, well, while we're analyzing this, Anish made a different move. No knight e3. He's played bishop to g5.
Let me just do a refresh. So no knight to e3. I like bishop to g5.
He has similar ideas as us, though. He wants to get at least one of the knights to the king side.
A drawback of putting the bishop on b7 is if the queen ever wanted to go on a raid and play queen takes b2, the bishop is now a tactical target, so you're kind of lost. So what I'm saying is playing the move bishop c1 to g5 now comes like risk-free. You're not losing the pawn. But I like bishop to g5. You're denying... Oftentimes you have to look across the board and say to yourself, what are my opponent's trumps? And you say, okay, my opponent has the two bishops. So one of the things let's trade one of them off. And at the same time, when we do trade the bishop, if the knight gets to go to g5, well, we can follow it up with moves like queen d3 and or queen h5. Miro, again, a big St. Louis welcome to you. Great to have you in studios with us. Jump into the games and share with us your thoughts.
Yeah, I'd like to switch your attention to a completely different tournament, which is Women's Candidates.
Please.
2026. And there is one game in particular that caught my attention. Katerina Lagno against Alexandra Goryachkina. Goryachkina finding herself in a really, really dire situation. It was, I believe, relatively standard Scotch game, all the way up to move 14. Then something went terribly wrong for Goryachkina. Apparently she had to capture the pawn on e5. And that line, I understand you might be scared with black because too many pieces hanging. Lines like queen a4 attacks the bishop and the knight, but black has knight to b4. And to put an end to this line, a3 loses to knight d3, white is severely undeveloped. Anyway, black played knight to b6, b3, And it turns out it's too late to take on e5 because both of your knight on b6, bishop on a6 are out of the game. For instance, if bishop was to take on e5 here, rook e5, white goes knight to e4, follows it up with bishop b2, and it's a very, very dangerous attack for white. But it was still better than the move Goryachkina played because after f5, knight f3, materials equal, nothing dramatically changed, and yet computer is claiming it's +3 for white. So that's an absolute positional dominance. After that, black cannot really get rid of the e5 pawn, and as long as e5 pawn stays on the board, as long as this b3, c4 formation shuts down both of black's minor pieces on the queen side, white's absolutely dominant. So rook to b8, just few more moves, and again, no fireworks here, just a slow, gradual improvement of white's position. Rook d1, queen to d2, not really targeting g7, but going to a5. Yeah. Queen d2, c5, queen a5, and stuff starts to fall apart. Bishop f3, bishop f3, bishop e5, bishop to c5, that's what we had. And yeah, Goryachkina played d6, bishop a3. Again, nothing new here. It's +3 for white according to computer, and very, very... I don't know if there is any chance for Goryachkina because some positions is still it's huge advantage, but murky. Here, not so much. You just play sane moves with white and you automatically win. It's not the first time. I think first round Goryachkina missed a tactical chance that time to win the game. Now she simply overlooked something and she finds herself in a really, really problematic situation.
Thank you, Miro. Indeed, a big, big moment there for Kate. With that particular matchup, Kate is going to be doing very well, considering that she should have lost the first game in round one.
First three, maybe.
Yeah. I'm looking at the game of Andrey, and not to my surprise, there's actually been a repetition.
Yes, they repeated twice already. We might see a three-move repetition very soon.
If I was in Andrey's shoes, again, I'm very, very happy to be a pawn up, but I just don't like these positions where, number one, my king is vulnerable, and number two, I've got a bishop on b2 that actually looks good but doesn't, it's not effective bishop. I mean, if I got a position like this, rook to c5, rook takes c5, d takes c5. My bishop is actually, hey, it's
Much
come alive.
now.
But wait a minute, I'm kind of risking, what am I doing after h4, h3, or, you know, the knight could jump to e4. Maybe I shouldn't have played the move rook c5. So,
but let's show the audience how they're repeating. It's
yes.
Queen e5 and queen d8.
So from an earlier moment that we saw this trade of knights, and this was the key moment of h5, and Sindarov saying, okay, I'm a pawn down, I'm not trying to do anything other than checkmate you. So let's trade queens whenever your king is more vulnerable than your opponent's king. Seek queen trades. No, I'm not interested in trading queens. What I'm really interested in is building up an attack with h4 tempo. Let's trade queens. No, I don't want to trade queens.
Oh.
Oh, no, that's my.
Oh, that's yours.
That's
okay.
my analysis.
I'm
saying if you're going to avoid trading queens, I would think of rook c5 as an alternative to queen e5. I would play the queen trade.
Yes.
I would make the three-move repetition.
Right. We have this updated TPR for Javokhir Sindarov, I believe, because he is doing something historic.
No question about it. What a
performance. He was at 3,150 before the last
he gave up a draw.
Which no one has achieved in classical tournament before. Even right now, he's at 30.59, so much higher than everybody else.
Absolutely, absolutely phenomenal. Can he keep it up? Our own Anastasiya caught up with a dear friend.
Yes, Anastasiya Karlovich got to ask Peter Svidler, who's one of the main commentators working for FIDE.
For the FIDE broadcast.
To hear his thoughts about the event.
So, Peter, your predictions for the second half of the FIDE candidates which start today?
Well, no predictions for the women's event because I think everything is extremely open. Every day we see exciting things, and there could be any kinds of shake-ups. Of course, Anna played really well in the first half, and whoever has the most points has to be the favorite, but it's extremely undecided. As for the Open, I guess it will be 11, yeah, when Fabi plays Sindarov with the white pieces could be the potentially the most important game left, because the way Javokhir has been playing so far, it's unclear how people are supposed to catch him. Of course, it might start at some point bringing additional pressure onto the young man, and he could maybe start feeling it a bit more. But so far, he's been playing so solidly and so well that somebody needs to beat him, basically. I don't think he is going to be gifting any points, and that somebody probably needs to be Fabi because nobody else has the points. So we are in kind of waiting mode until they meet again. So that's the kind of basic answer I think I would give.
Thank you so much, Peter.
Thank you, Peter and Anastasia. We all agree with Peter. It's all about this Fabi and Sindarov rematch.
Well, they're dominating the tournament, and Sindarov most especially so, 1.5 gap. The only one who's really giving chase is Fabi. Let's stay with this game between Esipenko and Sindarov for just a moment, because, Andrey lost the first game. Mm-hmm. And when you're kind of smarting, you want to give your opponent, a little bit of his own medicine. At the same time, you're looking at the position. Would you be comfortable playing white?
Absolutely not.
No.
I'd rather be black.
Yeah, exactly. And therefore, that's why I'm saying, mm-hmm. I
take the repetition.
Take the repetition. If I told you a draw is as good as a loss for your tournament standings, you must play for white. What would
I play?
What would you play?
I guess h4, because I can't allow your pawn to come all the way to h3.
Right. But at the same time, you're kind of recognizing mm-hmm. the drawback is that you're permanently giving up a square. Now, knight g4, queen f3, or... Hold on, queen f3, got to be careful about the rook. Miro, same question to you. If you were in Andrey's shoes and you absolutely were told you must play for the win, your team captain told you that, what would you do as white?
That's a cool question, Yasser, because I have much more information that you guys have. I keep investigating this position for the last few minutes, but I don't have the answer. Uh-huh. So white supposedly is better if I blindly trust the machine. The only reasonable move to continue is, strangely, bishop to c3. So first, let's quickly figure out what's wrong with rook to c5.
Right.
Black trades, and then if you take dc5, e5 is very important, which shuts down the bishop. And then queen d6, which just keep the queen on the light squares. I guess e4 is one of the choices. And despite being a pawn down, black's already much better, according to machine. And then you can see black lifting the rook to e6, moving the king to h7 after a check. H4 happens, and white is getting checkmated pretty quickly. Wow. Then Nazi's move h4 is, well, playable, nothing wrong with it. I'm not yet sure what black's best reaction is, but something along the lines of rook to b5, disturbing the bishop, then rook might get to b3. Black just says, I'm not worth being a pawn down. Right. I don't see why should I be worried? And then finally, the bishop c3 that I've mentioned, and computer puts it on a first, its first choice. Right, and then, like computer's choice of going to a8 is one thing, but there is rook b5, and I thought it was a funny line, because white can go a4, rook to b3, bishop e1, and then black starts giving away the pawns, even more pawns. So h4, and then queen to e4. If you go queen g3, it's e5. And ask yourself, do you want to play this position with black? Because yes, you are some material up, and computer even says that you are not lost, but it is getting very, very dangerous. So
Wow.
Thank you, Miro. And we have officially a result. They
Yeah.
have repeated and made a draw.
Not a surprise. Not a surprise to me. Okay, Sindarov loses a little bit of his TPR magic, which has been absolutely extraordinary. But from his perspective, drawing with black,
Yes.
sweet.
Quick draw, too. It's like a second rest day.
Exactly. I mean, this has been a tremendous, tremendous event for him through 8 rounds. So he keeps his lead, which means all eyes turn again to the Hikaru versus Fabi game. And let's jump over there just to see. I mean, when we left it, it was dead even, or what we thought was even.
After queen e7, Hikaru just played queen d3. I'm guessing he's planning to go bishop d6 and go to the endgame.
Yep. Makes sense to me as well. Bishop.
Maybe queen g3 is an idea as well, but I liked your f6. I don't think f6 really weakens black's kingside.
Again,
No, not right now. I meant
Oh,
if
sorry.
white goes queen g3.
Oh, so I have to make a move.
Like rook a8, let's say.
Rook A to A8, queen G3.
Yes.
Okay, give me the checkmate.
Simply f6 should be...
Blocking, and now we play
Yeah, we
something
have
like
to go
this.
bishop d6, takes, and...
Takes.
Yeah, takes. Does
Okay.
white have anything here? It's very small if it exists even.
Well, just a second. There is a pawn hanging, and
Yes, pawn is hanging, but you know, if we trade one pair of rooks, it will just be one pawn.
so you think we're going to take. Well, now I'm beginning to wonder why you played rook A8.
It was
Like,
mistake.
like,
And actually, good point. Fabi played f6 instantly. No rook a8.
yes. Like, in this case, the pawn is D6.
He's not giving away pawns like I am.
Right. Bishop takes D6, the queen takes D6, and if we do go down this path,
And play rook e8 or king f7, right?
yeah,
Well, not king f7.
not king f7. It's king
I don't
f7.
want to give you the 7th rank.
Okay, so
Not yet.
where should I be going?
You're not defended? Rook e8?
Okay. Rook
Okay, it is
E8.
a little bit uncomfortable, right? Rook b1 here?
I mean,
Okay,
white's
this
the
is maybe
one.
very uncomfortable.
White's the one with the rooks on the open files.
So maybe Fabi has to give up a pawn either way.
Well, you can start with rook e8.
Okay, that's an improvement.
As opposed to just developing the
And
rooks.
by the way, players are heading towards this line.
Are they? Let me refresh my board.
And we have a very interesting graph, Yasser, about these two players. The expected result versus the actual result.
Well, the expected
go.
results mainly
Fabi's
a draw.
expected score. Okay, he's outperforming, if I'm reading this right.
Yeah.
And
Through the first half, Fabi has gained rating points. He stands at +2. So if I understand this, his expected score is 4 out of 7.
but what about Hikaru? I think that's not right.
Where's he? It's Sindarov, no?
Oh, that's Sindarov. I thought it
Yes.
was about Fabi and Hikaru. My
No,
bad.
no.
Okay, Sindarov, of course, outperforming himself. Expected score was less than 4, and he has 6 out of 7.
Fabulous. I mean, again, if you had asked Fabi before the tournament began, Fabi, your first half result is you're going to be +2. He's going to go, am I tied for first? Goes, no, you're 1.5 points out of first. It's like, what? But he would have been very, very happy with a +2 result to start the game. By the way, it looks like
Moves.
he has played rook takes...
Takes queen and rook b8.
Exactly. So that's an impressive decision to
So
say.
on rook e6, what's the idea? King f7, I'm guessing.
Okay, rook e6, because again, white has a back rank problem. So it's not like you're going to go rook to d1, rook to e7, and rook to d7, bing, bada, bang, bang, bing, right?
No, I can't allow that. So I'll start with king f7 after rook d6.
Now,
I go for rook b2.
yes. So let's go pawn
Well,
hunting.
the engine doesn't love that.
Doesn't love it.
Yes.
What would?
I think engine wants you to defend the 7th rank first.
Defend the 7th rank.
Yeah, this is counterintuitive.
how am I supposed to defend the 7th
Let's
rank?
ask Miro. I'm sure he's already analyzed this endgame.
Miro, we have been having some fun with these 4 rook endings in your absence, and most especially the game of Hikaru and Wei Yi, 4 rooks endings.
Okay, that's the one that has already passed. So this one, let's look at Hikaru versus Fabi.
Yes.
Because it is confusing to most of us, but Fabi figured out, well, the best path according to Engine. So after queen d3, there are other moves, rook a to a8 that you were mentioning. There is some clever move h6 to meet queen g3 with queen g5. But what he has done, f6, might be this, well, the most straightforward path to a draw. I wanted to say a victory. There is no victory for black. So queen takes, rook takes, and particularly rook b8. So it's either rook b8 or rook b6. It's very instructive. So 2 open files. And if you start taking care of your pawn on e6, then white takes the second open file, and black has problems. I'm not sure if black saves this or not, but it is a very, very dull position to play, right? So rook b8, first of all, securing the counterplay. After rook e6, you do go king f7, and indeed, you defend the 7th rank by dropping the other pawn. Rook a7.
Wow.
So now if white takes on c6, you go after the a2 pawn. And it's still confusing to me because, well, rook a1 is passive, but white is 2 pawns up, right? But the engine is not bothered. It goes rook e7, and if you play f3, this is where it gets the show. Rook d7 and 2 rooks on the 2nd rank. So first, we've avoided white getting 2 rooks on the 7th rank by going rook b8, right? And this is what we are trying to achieve with black. Of course, I've played into it with white. White doesn't have to allow all that. But after rook b8, well, after rook b2 especially, doesn't seem to have any really promising alternatives. I imagine you could somehow conjure, a swap of the A pawns, and you lose the C pawn in the process, and basically it'll be 4 versus 3 on 1 wing, which offers you some winning chances, but not on this level, I'm afraid. So I guess Fabi knows what he's doing.
Mm-hmm. It sure seems that way, and his reasoning of giving up pawns, like he sheds 1, he sheds another, for clear counterplay is, well, tip of the hat. That's pretty
Good play, yes.
impressive. We all want to know, statistically speaking, who's going to win the tournament. I've got my best guess.
After 7 rounds?
After 7 rounds. But let's take a look at some pie charts.
Yes, pre-tournament favorite was, no surprise, Fabiano Caruana at 28.2%. Hikaru in second at 16%, and Javokhir Sindarov in third with 14.7%.
Keep your eye on Sindarov.
And then after a couple of rounds, Fabi had very impressively was +1 or +2 at this point.
He's taking
40.7.
over the whole pie.
Pretty much. Javokhir is at
In
18%
second.
in second, yes. Then there was a draw round, so nothing changed much. And then they faced each other. And Sindarov,
That came in round
Not yet.
4.
so Caruana increased his chances again at more than 50%,
Right.
more than half of the pie. But then after Sindarov defeated Fabi and kept winning, look at that, 78.9% favorite, Fabi at 17.8%, and everybody else falls behind less than 2%.
Wow. And statistically speaking, you see at the very bottom there that the top seed, can you believe this? After the first half, the very top
Only
seed,
halfway through the tournament.
yeah, has virtually no chance, a single tenth of 1%. Nobody, statistically, in 15,000 simulations, Hikaru didn't go 7-0. Well, I guess not. He is. Let me just make sure of that. Let me make sure I
He's
did say.
thinking now after rook b8.
He is not yet a pawn up. Sorry, that is to say, Hikaru has not captured the pawn in king f7. But this game looks like it's going to head towards a draw, because Fabi is going to have some very active rooks in the near future. Where would you like to guide us, Nasi?
Well, two other games in the open section are quite interesting. Let's check in with Wei Yi and Matthias Bluebaum. We haven't looked at that game yet.
Absolutely, let's do it. This was the Bishop's opening, where...
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that opening.
It's like today the players are so well prepared. It's hard to get a game that's imbalanced. So in a sense, Wei Yi has achieved the near impossible, getting a game that's imbalanced. It's a very interesting game. But Matthias has made a few decisions that I find a little bit confounding, including this idea of playing for f7, f6. Looks a little strange because it's like this bishop on d2, most especially, was doing nothing. It really, like, what was it doing? On d2, you almost desperately want to play bishop to e3 and bring it to c5. Well, he's managed to get
something. This last move, bishop b5, is also not favored by the engine, but I like the other bishop on a3.
I do. The one solace I would say that Black has in the position is a spin.
Oh, then
I would be like thinking of maybe.
Yes, sir. I think that's what Wei Yi is aiming for. With bishop b5, he wants to play rook h4.
Ah, to break the pin like that. How about that, Miro? Rook swinging from a4 all the way across the board to h4?
Right. I think I might tell you what has happened here.
Okay.
So a couple of moves earlier,
Yes.
Black was doing more than okay. And then he played f7, f6, where, according to the machine, he had to play f5.
Yes.
Just more active, you know, well, Black starts having some potential threats, like e4, you know, or queen can go to f6 if it's attacked from a3. After f6, bishop to a3, queen had to step to d7, and then there was an unlucky choice for Wei Yi. He went bishop b5, where he could have gone bishop b3. So what's the difference, you'd say? Yeah, so what does he want after bishop b5? Believe it or not, but also he might consider taking on e5. There is this tactic in a position.
Exactly.
But then Black has, or did he did already play rook f to d8, right? Yes, rook f to d8, so now knight e5 doesn't really work, and let me find out why, because queen f5 is there. Queen f5 is there, and I just trust the machine. There is, like, to human eye, there is like a move g4, you would argue, but then apparently knight takes on e5, and the g-pawn is pinned. It cannot take the queen. You know, it's very complicated, but it works for Black. But in case of bishop b3, you would not be able to go rook d8 because knight e5 now.
Does work.
Nice.
And yeah, and now it works. Now everything falls apart. White is just winning. And apparently, in order to stop this knight e5 threat, you have to move the bishop either g6 or f7. The engine itself is not sure which is the better one. And then White gets to play d4 exactly in a moment where, you know, some pins are still on the board, the knight on e7 in particular, so there is no good way for Black out of it. I say rook f to d8, I'm just following the main engine line. Bishop takes, now if knight takes, there's some funny move, queen to c1, and I guess if you take, then rook takes.
Oops.
And this rook from a4 all of a sudden plays a role, White is just winning. So yeah, after bishop b3, it would have been quite problematic, while here, after bishop b5, he does have rook f to d8, stops d4, stops everything, and Compi, in fact, wants to take on e7, go rook h4, and says it's relatively equal.
Why do we have to play...
Take on e7?
Yes.
That's my question, too.
Why can't we just start with rook h4, Miro?
Yeah, we could, but then there's some queen to f5. I think we want to capture on e7, so the queen has to take, while the knight on c6 is still pinned, because now you can potentially see some knight g6, knight f4 stuff.
Yeah.
And so, and as much as we like a pair of bishops on a3 and b5, at some point, if the knights are moved away,
Yeah.
these bishops are like staring into the void, right? Not doing an awful lot.
Good point. Seriously, queen f5, defending the bishop with queen f5, that was a Good morning, St.
We
Louis.
were so happy about the bishop finally getting a good diagonal, so if you have to trade it right away.
Yeah, okay, but let's just continue one more move. We take on e7, you take on e7. I go rook h4.
And bishop goes to e8 is what Miro showed us.
Bishop to e8. Can I play for d4? Or is that asking too much from the position?
I guess you can, but you're not threatening anything yet.
I'm dreaming the dream.
That's your idea.
But that's precisely why bishop went to e8, because now knight takes pawn.
Ah, knight takes, and look at this. There's a sudden tension.
Yeah, it's not good.
The desirable.
Bishop takes.
Hold on, what
No,
am I
we're
doing?
losing a piece, maybe.
Why am I losing a piece? Was hoping to win a piece. That's not fun.
G pawn 2 squares.
G5. Yeah, well, for some reason we all only look at G6, but not G5.
Knight to f5 and queen to d7, and black's actually winning.
Crazy. I mean, here I am thinking I'm doing great. Look at this. Look at this. Look, look, Mom. No hands. Rook f8.
Rook f8 is the only but sufficient move to win.
Amazing. At first blush,
Yeah.
I feel like I've got a puzzle rush.
But honestly, guys, I think that this particular line is quite inhuman. And it's very likely that players will decide to deviate from it. Because it's nice to play when you know it works. Like all of these moves are easy to find when you're getting a hint. This line works for black. But you have absolutely no such information when you're playing the game.
We actually do have a move. Wei Yi played immediately rook h4, didn't take on e7. So we
Which
might
was
see
our
queen f5.
initial desirable move, which is to break
human
the
move.
spin. Yeah. But as we know, queen f5 is the recommended move. On that note, Miro, just to be very, very clear, if I went down that rabbit hole, and I'll do it one more time, sorry. Bishop takes e7, queen takes e7. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, aren't I brilliant, aren't I brilliant? I've got the attack. I really feel like I'm warming up. And, I get to this position in my mind, and I'm kind of drawn to it as white. Because I do see knight f5, I do see queen h5, and I get to this position, and I might kind of convince myself that, boy, I'm winning. And if I miss rook f8...
Isn't queen f5 also a move?
Oh, sorry, did I blunder queen f5?
After queen h6.
It was queen g6. I'm sorry. I'm saying, in my mind, I'm thinking brilliancy, puzzle rush,
But here, I guess you're going to lose some material.
Well, I have already lost a pawn, and apparently...
More material, I think, is coming.
I can't avoid queen trades. Like, your next move might be, well, you're taking my rook. If I move my rook, you might just play queen f7, and I'm in this, terrible, awful ending, and let's get out of here.
But honestly, if you calculate this, it would be very tempting to play it, right?
Yes, that's the point.
Yeah.
And, you feel like an idiot. You calculate a line that you end up rejecting, and the first thing they ask you at the press conference is, well, why didn't you play this move? Because you would have been winning.
Yeah.
But you don't see the key moves. Miro, we do have rook h4 on the board after all. Oops.
Yeah. I'm just looking for this game. Yes, rook to h4 was played, and interestingly, Bluebaum quickly played bishop to f7. What's that? Was not considered. Bishop f7 happens to be a mistake, and now we are back to our idea of capturing on e7 and going d4. Because what happened? We've transposed into the same position, but the bishop is on f7, not on e8.
Right.
So it was, well, it turned to be, it was semi-bluff, I would say, rook h4, because it would allow queen f5. And as we figured out, queen f5, well, black potentially might be better. But after bishop f7, we are back to this line. Bishop takes, queen takes, d4. Computer really likes white. And we could see some really sharp stuff, because one of the moves that comes to mind is, again, to try to hunt for material, to go g5.
Right.
And I don't have like a particular answer what happens. Rook e4, I guess. And then bishop g6, rook e3 are nothing too exciting. White just like solidifies and probably ends up being up material. Yeah, so bishop f7 is a mistake.
Yeah,
And
oh, definitely.
Maybe he has a chance now.
He played it very fast, Matthias.
Yeah, which was very... I miss queen f5, and I think queen f5 is a really strong move. Bishop f7, I jump all over this trade on e7 and playing d4, because in my mind's eye, I'm actually playing ahead of a rook. That is to say, what's on the board is I see activity, I see passivity with this rook on b8. So keep your rook on b8. It's not bothering anybody.
And some hopes on the king side as well. Bishop d3 and...
Bishop to d3, maybe queen to d3. Not so easy to answer this one either, but I like bishop to d3. And g5, well, you know, at the end of this kind of a line, you know,
it's a long-term weakness, right?
you're kind of looking at that king side and saying, are you sure you want to break things open over there? So good chances for the Chinese superstar Wei Yi in this one. I'm going to go back to the game of Anish and Prague. Was this the game that caught your eye, Miro?
Yes. Well, what we have on the board is, I believe, that the classical, you know, good knight against bad bishop illustration, right?
Yep.
So Compi argues that on move 17, bishop g5, though tempting, maybe wasn't, you know, the most precise move, but it still, of course, keeps the position very favorable for Anish. And almost automatically, they are getting to this position with knights being traded on d4. Yeah, bishop c8, I believe, is a good move. Bishop has nothing to do on b7. And these positions, well, I'm still confused, to be honest, as a human player, because we've been taught for years how bad it is for black. And some of them are indeed like white wins almost automatically. Some of them, it turns out there is not much you can do. I imagine queen d2 and rook a5, and white will be pressing for ages in this one.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Miro.
you, Miro.
Yes, sir, we have a very special guest with us today, the former world champion, the absolute legend, Garry Kasparov. Welcome to our show.
Gary.
Thank you for inviting me. So
Nice.
not the most exciting day, but still, there's always some fight.
But Gary, the most exciting first half of a candidates tournament.
Absolutely, yes. Yes. Have you bet on Sindarov?
No, not even close. I mean, if I did, I'd be a very rich man. I mean, quite
absolutely.
the performance, Gary.
By the performance, and it's, you know, it's sometimes you say it's you're lucky, you know, it's basically your luck is as the luck of the winner. But I mean, he has +5 without actually major luck. You know, he plays better than others. Yeah, I think it was quite impressive today how fast he was. I mean, just he played. I've not analyzed the game, but I just, you know, it's his confidence of playing very quickly, after a quite dubious opening, was impressive.
Yeah.
We have been very impressed by his time management in this event.
Exactly, I'm saying very quickly, and this is and the quality of the moves is very high. So the combination of playing fast and playing well, it's always deadly.
Gary, because of the whole Kasparov Chess Foundation and your Superstars program, you're keeping an eye on the junior talents of the world and inviting them to...
I have to say we missed.
I wanted to ask. Has there been any secret training that we don't know about?
Yeah, but frankly speaking, you know, is our we concentrate on the United States and then Europe, and that's technically Asia. So still I have to admit that you know, it was a blunder
We let one slip away. We let one. But again, he's the youngest player in the field.
His first time playing the
Possibly the youngest World Championship match in the history might be coming up if this young man keeps his form. He would be playing against Gukesh. And again, those two players, are they allowed to drink? I mean, that would be...
Not in the United States.
Exactly, not in the United States. Is chess a young player's game suddenly?
The chess is getting younger. I mean, we know the answer is because you have access to so much information which compensates lack of experience.
Right.
So it's not surprising that we have younger grandmasters. Yeah, you may argue that these young prodigies that rightfully earning their GM titles at age 12, 13. So they are, as good as Bobby Fischer when he became grandmaster at age 15, back in 1958. But the fact is that it's not just an exception. Grandmaster at age 12, 13 now is no longer, it's a story that hits the front page.
Right.
So yes, chess is getting younger, but still, just to see that the youngest player in the tournament with virtually no experience beating the very experienced field, maybe it's just time for some older players. And the oldest one is Nakamura, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
I think he just, he was probably not happy to discover it. I remember whether just, this for me, it was, I'm not sure which tournament was that, but discovering that, this is, I became the oldest one, while I started playing, as the youngest player back in 73, 74, 75, and just, all way to mid ages. Yeah. So, it was quite a shocker. Okay, Caruana is trying hard, but it's tough. So I still think there's a chance. Fabi has white. I guess he survives today, yes?
Yeah, he was worse, but when we left it looked like it was going to a draw.
Yeah, I think this is now the game is just so so round 4, yes. So that's a big moment. He has white pieces, and he still has to close the gap.
Yeah.
But as of now, this. If we assume that this game ends as a draw, after round 8, you can hardly imagine that Sindarov will sleep away his advantage. Yeah. And it's not just 1.5 points, but he's playing better. It's extreme confidence, fast play, and I think no blunders. Yeah, no serious mistakes.
Absolutely, he's playing fantastic chess. And if he does end up winning the candidates, do you think it will be a close World Championship match?
Look, my view about World Championship matches since Magnus is not playing. So I would love to see Sindarov Carlsen match. That for me would be the real match that's worth the title. I don't know. I think it will be interesting because match is a match. If we're talking about hypothetical Gukesh Sindarov match, Gukesh is very, very stable, and it's I would be very surprised if it was not close.
Right.
Because match has different dynamics. There's a different logic there. So and it will be interesting how he's going to handle his new status, providing he wins the candidates.
Exactly.
By the way, speaking about that, this is interesting that this is we now got him in Grand Chess Tour. It's quite ironically that it will be again very ironic. It's Gukesh who was overwhelmed and eventually he just asked to reduce his participation to few events but not the full tour. So it was replaced by Sindarov. So that will be some kind of it's a smile of history.
Exactly. Gukesh decided to focus his attention on the World Championship match. He pulled out of the Grand Chess Tour, replaced, just as Garry was saying, by Sindarov. But we will have Gukesh playing in 2 of the Rapid and Blitz.
Yes, he'll be playing in Poland and Croatia for Rapid and Blitz.
And that will be coming up May 5th through the 9th. Garry, you keep busy, but you also keep your eye on the tournament. Have you been watching daily? What have you been doing with this candidate?
I watch. Of course, I watch every day. So I just watched today. So I think it was. I mean, again, it's even with draws, so the games were quite interesting. So yeah, Nakamura Caruana was a little bit, just dull, but I feel I had a feeling that probably Hikaru could do better. It was a pressure, but now it's as I said, it's a draw. Giri was an interesting game, and I actually it's still better. But can you explain to me why Giri didn't play B4 instead of knight f3?
Why didn't he play B4 instead of?
Oh, in between move.
At what moment?
Move ago. Couple moves ago.
No.
Before this.
No. Before it's just yes. Yeah, I thought about this. Maybe it made sense. Yes.
Absolutely, that's a nice tempo.
Before. Yeah, because it's queen goes and then knight f3 and then knight d4.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to include B4. I mean, kind of crazy. Miro had mentioned that in this position, the reason Queen D2 and Rook A5, he may have felt that the tempo of attacking the Queen on C5 with Rook on A5 would be improved as opposed with the pawn. By the way, wasn't it Anish who had a pawn on B3? We saw recently there was a game where there was a knight on D4 and a pawn on B3. There was a double.
He was on the other side.
He was on the other side. He's getting crazy with the knight on D4 business.
Yeah, but it was interesting opening. Actually, I for one moment when I thought, instead of D5, yes, I thought again that's 4. It's a funny move, like play something like knight H3.
Which moment? Sorry.
No. Yeah, instead of DC5. DC5 is the best move, but I thought, kind of it's a blitz move. Knight H3, H3.
Where is the knight going from H3?
Knight to
I can tell you now. I can tell you in a minute.
All right.
Knight C6.
Knight C6.
And Rook A3. It's not about knight. It's about basically bringing Rook. Yeah. I don't know. It probably doesn't work. Mm-hmm. Yes, but it's just.
You can take the arena out of the boy, but the boy likes to go king hunting.
I don't know. Maybe you can take on B2 here, even just maybe.
Yeah, queen takes B2. But yes, I feel you.
Yeah, but I just thought but DC5 before is very. Again, maybe Giri now also has considerable advantage. Yes, after queen D2, it's so. Can black play Rook B8? Just I don't know.
Which moments up to here?
Yeah, because in currently the position Queen C8, Bishop C8, Queen D2. Yes, simply.
Yes, this is and Rook B8 has been played.
I think that's against Rook A5.
That's the only chance.
Because now on Rook A5, black has tactic Rook takes B2.
Yeah. Oops.
And white no longer has the B4 idea, which he could have done
he wants
earlier.
Queen B4, so just to get, but probably B3 is still very unpleasant.
Yes. Well, Miro was saying it's the classical good knight versus bad bishop. Now, we were coached that white might be strategically winning. Botvinnik would win the game, and we would all say, you see, the position's terrible. But the engines of today say it's not as big an advantage as we've been trained to believe.
Yes, but look, it's a little bit more dynamic because if you had 2 pawns on the queen side, that of course will be winning probably. If you have, but now because they've only just, I say A and B pawns on both sides, then it will be probably pretty bad because then knight on D4 will be very solid, and then white probably will start pushing F pawn. But right now, there's a chance to push the knight on D4 by, I don't know, Rook B4, Queen B4. So it's a little bit more tricky because they can only 2 pawns left, and knight on d4 might be attacked. Of course, white has, one of the, or rook or another rook of fd1 for us to protect it. But it's a little bit more uncertain than the position with both pawns on the queen side. Yeah. So that's why I tried to find something. That's why I like b4 instead of knight f3.
Exactly.
Because then our pawn would be already just potential on b5. And it would be more difficult for black to create counterplay.
And again, for our audience, what Garry is suggesting is that the move chosen by Anish, knight f3, would have been better replaced with the move b2, b4, stopping a lot of the kinds of counterplay that we might be seeing in the game. Garry, you mentioned it yourself, and it would be remiss of me if I didn't ask you, again, with the Kasparov Chess Foundation and your All-Stars, you have the bird's eye seat on America's chess talent. Tell our viewers who you see as potential American candidates, maybe on the ladies' side as well as the open.
No, ladies' side is easy to say. Alice Ali, of course, that's a jewel of our program now. So, and she's doing phenomenally well, and she has very, very bright future. So she's young and very determined and making tremendous progress.
Yeah, she is. So,
Woodward is also is doing well. So that's also our product. Mm-hmm. We'll see how far he can go, but it's definitely material for a top 2,700 plus player.
Right. Garry, finally, not going to take all your time, but Fabi trails, as we know. He trails. If you were his coach, his advisor, what would you suggest he do?
Look, he just, he has to definitely prepare himself mentally for game he plays with white against Sindarov, but he has to try to win every game. So it's not. I mean, there's a huge pressure. I mean, because it's not that he lost to Sindarov in the first round. I mean, how he lost. I mean, can you recall the game where Fabi was, outplayed from the opening? I mean, so convincingly. Recently, I mean, it's because Sindarov has superior opening preparation and it's a laser type finish.
Yeah.
So it's hard to just to take it off your mind, because it's not about losing, it's about how you were defeated. And I think for Fabi, it's very important to probably take this game off his mind and just to concentrate on his only chance, which is to beat Sindarov as white.
Yeah, no, it's a very good point. Comprehensively, from the opening, getting out prepared, then just simply getting outplayed and never really ever having a chance. Nope. Sindarov never gave him a chance to say, look, like what he did with Hikaru, Fabi did with Hikaru. It was a one-sided game. Yeah, very, very much so.
Game. So we'll see if Giri wins. So then Giri, I think he'll catch Fabi. Yes.
I thought Anish was at 50%.
As long as Fabi doesn't lose, he doesn't catch him.
No. That's still too far to just.
Yes.
Yeah, of course. Yes, yes. Still too far behind.
And actually, they're playing each other tomorrow.
Ends tournament for Prague, which is also interesting. I mean, it's Prague. Even he was on the rise, and just now it's a bleak shadow of what we saw a couple of years ago. Am I correct? Yes.
Yeah, no, he was scorching the chess world, and his play here has been, if you don't mind me saying it, it's a little bit unfair, stale. It doesn't look like he's come with fresh ideas.
Stale is a very good word. Something is missing. That's the kind of spice of the game, because energy. So it's all, it's still top quality.
Of course.
Definitely not enough to actually to I mean, to beat your peers at that level.
Exactly. And by comparison, even the game today that Sindarov played, you might say, okay, easy draw with black. No, no, no. Take a look at the game. It is a very interesting approach. Knight c6. Then suddenly sacrificed a pawn.
Yeah, it's being played now. I mean, I follow a little bit. So that this idea, bishop d6, knight 6 is now being played. But it looked like Esipenko found it's a very, very good response to this unorthodox development for black. And he had a couple of two bishops, and position looked, fairly dangerous. And again, this is so quickly, just, this is bishop d7, dc4, bishop c6, sacrificing the pawn. I didn't check with his computer. I tried to actually avoid it. So what was the evaluation of the position when Esipenko decided to repeat the moves? It looked to me that Sindarov had proper compensation.
And the computer agrees with you.
Yeah. So but amazing. It's just, he was so fast. I mean, just, anticipating, boom, boom, boom. And again, it's instinctively, I looked at this position, yes, but I imagine, just sacrificing a pawn, just, I would have to spend time I did it probably by smell.
Let's go pawn sacrificing. Gary, thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything you'd like to share with our readers before you take off?
No, it's a look. I hope that when it's our next the next session. So I hope that I hope the tournament will keep its intrigue to the very end. Which means that Fabi should do well in the next 3 rounds, especially in round 4 of the second, half of the tournament. So otherwise, it might be less exciting. So I always want to have some suspense in the tournament, and Sindarov may deny us this pleasure.
Exactly. Gary,
thank you so much for sharing your time with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Gary. Goodbye.
We all agree with him. We need some kind of suspense.
We hope for a little suspense. Tell us, Miro, how are the advantages?
Well, first of all, it's always a pleasure to listen to Garry, so I had to check the lines that he was suggesting. So in Gary's game in particular, the b4 move was, well, again, if you just check with the computer, it gives more or less the same evaluation. But after queen to b6, knight f3, knight c6, which I imagine would have been played, White has an extra option. So White can go for the similar positions with knight to d4.
Yeah.
I guess whichever knight to d4, and then trade the knights. Black cannot really take on b4. But this one, strangely, it's one of those which I was saying, it looks bad, but it's not as bad, strangely. Bishop to c8, you have to guard b4 now, and bishop to d7. And the fact that the b pawn is on b4 makes it more vulnerable than on b3, strangely. Because black will be having some rook b8 ideas. So there is that, but there is a completely different direction White could steer the game into by going e6. And then the best I could find for black, and I guess it's peanuts for this type of players, black has to try to sacrifice material to go for a counter push with d4. Because let's say if you imagine a club player facing this, takes on e6, now he realizes d5 is hanging, so queen d8. I'm making the line up. It's not good moves, but it's an illustration how bad your position can be, right? And
yes.
This is what that's your dream scenario with White, right?
Oh, total domination.
Right. Absolutely. But black is in response to e6, black has to go with d4. And then you end up, I guess, in a position like that, which is White is a pawn up, so you guessed it right, White is better, but in numbers it's 0.30, 0.35, so that's fraction of a pawn. So black has some compensation, and potentially we'll have, a pawn swap for the b pawn, 3 versus 2 on the king side, and really depends if White has anything significant. So that was one of my takes. And the other one, we've declared Fabi's game to be a draw. And could it be that we've declared it a little bit prematurely? Because he still has to show some precision.
He didn't play king f7.
He didn't play king to f7, which computer argued was the best move. Rook b2, rook e7, and now it starts getting a little dangerous because, again, naively, if we take on a2, then there is rook b1. And now, it wasn't rook b1, it was rook d1. Rook b1, I've blundered. Rook b6,
yes.
And white has back rank problems himself, but rook to d1, threatening rook b8. Yes, and then after, say, h5, white also makes the luft for his own king, goes h4, rook arrives to d7, black is in big, big trouble.
Correct.
So rook a to b6 is what Fabi played. And then...
he wants to play against rook d1, rook b1.
Yeah, rook d1 runs into rook b1.
Or rook to d2.
But there is Yasser, a tricky move, rook to a7. Which I've analyzed, now I found it, I've analyzed it earlier.
Rook takes a2.
The point being, it's super funny because, again, if you're a computer here in this position with black, you say don't care, you don't even take on a2. You, I don't know, go rook b7 is one of the computer recipes, just sacrifice the second pawn. But isn't it tempting to say, I take on a2,
yes,
right? And again, rook d1 runs into rook d2, so white doesn't have an immediate attack.
Right.
Then white goes something along the lines of h3. You'd say, okay, now there's a d file, so I have to stop. And then white has this tricky move, e5, fe5, and rook e1. And materials not equal. Black is up a pawn. But black is in trouble because I will take the e-pawn, and then I will double the rook on the 7th.
E5 is
so it is like, from afar, you would think, okay, no, here I must be safe, right? I must be safe. They take my a5 pawn, I go rook d7, we agree a draw, and this is it, right? I know, we do not agree a draw. I just realized white is still a pawn up.
I would play rook d4 after rook a5 and expect a draw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so all I'm saying, Fabi's position is still holdable, but it's not automatically a draw. He still has to find all the best moves.
Thank you, Miro. Those rook endings, especially the four rook endings, tricky. We're really having a master class on that particular ending. We're going to take a break.
Yes, Esther, we're going to go on a short break, and we have highlights of Fabiano's candidates when he won and qualified for the World Championship match against Magnus Carlsen in 2018. Ooh. So enjoy, and we'll be right back.
Those were happy days.
Berlin, March 2018. 8 of the world's strongest grandmasters sit beneath cold lights and silent cameras. Only one will earn the right to challenge the world champion. For Fabiano Caruana, this is not just another tournament. It is a reckoning. 2 years earlier, he had come within a single game of qualification and let it slip. Now he returns not just stronger, but more aware of what this moment demands. And from the very beginning, something clicks.
I started really well. After 7 rounds, I was +3. I started with a win against Wesley, and then I had this really marathon, really tough game against Kramnik. It was a game of 8 phases, and each phase had its own difficulties and storyline to it, and that definitely helped a lot.
It is not just the results, it is the feeling. For the first half of the tournament, Caruana isn't chasing, he's leading. But the candidates is never one story. It is always multiple forces pulling in opposite directions. And slowly, the tension begins to shift.
And then on the other hand, there was Karakin, who started very poorly. He was -2 after 4 games. And then suddenly we kind of converged after round 12. We were the same exact score. He had beaten me, and I remember just having like these feelings of despair. I mean, how could I let it come to this point in the tournament? I was doing so well, and now I was going to let him win again, basically in the same situation. And also, he would have the better tie breaks again.
The past begins to echo. The lead is gone. The control is gone. What remains is pressure.
I just got outplayed from like start to finish. You know, it was a very humbling affair in some ways, very difficult.
For a moment, it feels like the tournament is slipping away. But the candidates offers no pause, except one.
I think it helped that we had a rest day, so I could gather my thoughts, do some preparation, get over the negative emotions, which the night of that game, of course, were very negative. I mean, just basically thinking, okay, I just need to draw the game, and then I'm not home clear, but I'm in such a great position. I'm a point ahead of him, I'm half a point ahead of others. Everything seemed great.
And in that space, something resets. Clarity returns. Not just about the position on the board, but the position in the tournament.
I basically considered the game against Silvana a must-win. If I go into the last round against Grishuk needing to win, then I don't know. I mean, probably very low chances to win the tournament. And then after that, I was in a half-point lead.
The final round arrives with everything still in motion. Around him, other games carry consequences. Every result matters.
Well, it was definitely a good feeling because from the start of the game, everything was unclear, and I was watching all the other games. And I remember Shakhriyar, of course, I didn't want him to win. And then Ding and Karakin, I wanted basically neither one to win. I wanted a draw on that board. And then I saw Ding was doing well, so I was like, okay, this is a good situation there.
Even then, nothing feels secure.
But still, my position was very sharp. I never felt in danger in the game, but it was still a position where you make some mistake and it can start to go downhill.
One by one, the other games finish. The noise disappears.
By the time all the other games were finished, I just had like a very safe advantage. And of course, I could have at that point just gone for a draw, but it really felt like an absolute, like there's no way that I don't put this away. So I decided just to finish the game off because it felt like the right thing to do.
Fabiano wins, not by holding on, but by pushing forward. And for the first time since Bobby Fischer, an American will play for the World Championship. London, November 2018. Across the board sits Magnus Carlsen, the defining player of his generation. For Caruana, this is the ultimate test, and it nearly collapses before it begins.
I think it was really important for me that I didn't lose that game. I was dead lost, and I had much less time, and it's the first game of the match. I'm playing with the white pieces. If Magnus wins with black first game, and I think that it was like a 99% that he was going to win at some point. I mean, I had no time, no position. He's generally speaking the best technical player. He doesn't really let these advantages drop. But for sure, he also felt the pressure during that game. And after that, it was just a very, very tight match.
That single escape changes the trajectory of the match, because from that point on, it becomes something rare, a balance at the very top.
And I think even objectively, I was probably the one pushing in more games after the first. And then, yeah, I missed a few chances, but overall it was a very tight match. And for me, the main regret was game 8. I was playing with the white pieces, and I had a big advantage from the opening. I'd prepared him, and he was just in huge trouble. And I really shouldn't have let that one slip.
It is not a failure of strength. It is a missed opportunity, one that never quite returns.
The one that people usually talk about, which is the game 6, where I had like a forced mate. I think it's very close to impossible to find in a game situation where you don't know that it's winning, and just like for one move an accidental chance appears. and then like computers can show it, but I don't feel like it was really achievable for the circumstances.
This is the reality of a world championship match. Imperfection and limitation under pressure.
I mean, these matches, you can play great and then not really make it, just because it's the highest challenge. And I was playing also against Magnus. I mean, the hardest possible opponent that you can face.
12 classical games, 12 draws, and something undeniable beneath them.
In 2018, for sure, we were playing at the same level, or I wasn't playing any worse than him.
For 12 games, he stands equal. But the match is not decided there. It shifts to rapid. And here, the balance breaks.
To win the match, I not only had to give my best, but also a little bit more. And maybe I didn't give a little bit more at the right moments.
The pace quickens, the margin narrows, and this time, it slips. For Caruana, 2018 is not defined by defeat. It is defined by how close he came, twice. In Berlin, he confronts pressure and chooses to push forward. In London, he faces the strongest player in the world and does not yield, not once, in classical play. He doesn't lift the crown, but he proves something lasting. At the highest level of chess, under the greatest pressure imaginable, he is not chasing the summit, he is standing on it.
Welcome back, everyone. We're in the middle of round 8 of the candidates. So far, we only have one result in the open section.
Exactly, and it was our tournament leader who made a draw.
Yes, with the black pieces, made a quick draw against Andrey. Esipenko, equalized very well out of the opening and had no issues, so good result for both of them.
Including a nice pawn sacrifice by Javokhir that impressed the likes of Garry Kasparov, so there you go. Welcome, everybody. We are in this round 8, the second half just getting started, and we've got the game between our number 1 and number 2 seeds. Now, when we started our broadcast, when we saw the pairings and everything, we had marked our calendars that this round was going to be, we hoped, for first place. Boy, were we wrong.
I mean, we're a little bit off.
Poor Hikaru is actually languishing at the bottom of the field, our top seed languishing at the bottom of the field. However, the rivalry between these two great players has been intense, and over the years, they've taken the full measure of one another, including in Toronto, yes, you might say. And in this
crucial matches between those two.
Yeah, in this event, in the first half, Fabi was the one who won. And when he won, statistically speaking, you know, the pie chart was going crazy and telling us Fabi's chances of winning the event were greater than 50%. What a time for Hikaru to find great form and knock the number 2 player backwards. A 4-rook ending. And we have been discussing this game for some time. And it's so counterintuitive that you want to encourage your opponent to take the pawn on a2.
And still, that line that Miro showed us with e5 is very
crazy.
It's unbelievable. e5 would never be my candidate
stop.
move. You can give me 10 candidate moves. e5 wouldn't be one of them.
Right. And for me, even this move, rook a7, I might
Strange.
Exactly. Thank you. Just full stop. I find that to be a strange move. I mean, I would say to my opponent, look, dude, yeah, you can have my a pawn, but I'm going to make you work for it, darn it.
Right.
I'm going to play a
Chase
move
me.
like, I'm going to play a move like a3. So go ahead and chase me, and then your rook won't be on the second rank. But for an amateur player to see the move rook on e7 to a7, threatening to capture the pawn and actually forcing your opponent in some ways to play rook takes a2, Very, very counterintuitive. And the whole idea is the players are trying to wrong foot one another. White makes Luft in order to play rook to d1 and rook
Both
to
of them
d7.
have rooks on the second rank.
Right.
But Black's rooks are not getting what they need in order to win. Like, why can Black play rook b2 right now?
Exactly, and he definitely should.
But here,
and
White
here
has,
the problem is that after
h5 is even stronger. You start with h5, h6.
Even h5, h6. Here, as I saw it, the problem was that I'm threatening mate in 1.
Right, and you don't have rook d2 because the pawn is hanging.
Exactly, we'll trade rooks. And if I provoke h5, we'll have these situations where I will end up with rooks on the seventh rank. But this, I thought was winning. Now I see the bar.
It's still equal, but it's scary for sure.
It's amazing, because I thought, okay, with a pawn on
That's why
g2.
including h5 for White was much better. There's some tiny nuances that are so easy to miss in this endgame.
You know, let's pause here for a second. Again, without the benefit of a bar, the thermometer there telling me, I would say, oh my gosh, White's rooks on the 7th rank are much greater than Black's rooks on the 7th rank, because this pawn on g2
It's defended.
means that my king is actually safe. Whereas, let's say, in these positions, Black's king, and I understand this, please, I do get it, the pawn on g2. So, like, if I put my king on h1, I'm threatening a checkmate. You know, I've got
Should be better.
you think so, right? But okay, that's what I think the two players are aspiring for. But after the move rook a7, have we seen rook takes
No,
a2
Fabi's
yet?
taking a long think here. He's actually down to 15 minutes.
2-to-1 time advantage. You mean?
Yes, that's true. There's still 13 moves to go. Of course, Fabi's taking his time because he needs to find the best moves here to equalize completely.
Right.
He can't mess up here. One inaccuracy and it'll be game over.
You're telling me that he's taking his time here for the best. Is there an alternative to rook a2?
That's
I mean, I find that...
well, there are some lines that Miro showed us where Black sacrifices 2 pawns and is still fine. So I'm guessing that's the option.
Okay, Miro, jump in. Again, we're getting a real education on 4 rook endings in this tournament.
Yeah, we're all learning something from the computer, right?
Right.
I guess the main alternative is a rook to b7 move in this position where he's pondering after rook a7. So rook to b7 to all us, I believe, seems counterintuitive. So what am I doing, right? But apparently the trade on b7, if it was to happen, is not that scary. I think, like White has weaknesses of his own. Black's going to bring the king all the way to e6. Seems relatively safe. So after rook to b7, the line you're worried about is rook takes a5, and for the time being, White's up 2 pawns. But I guess rook to c2 or even rook to e2 are playable alternatives. You'll end up, I imagine you end up in some version of 4 rooks, pawn down position, but it should be playable. Like say this one, rook to c5, rook to a7. It's hard to tell if this holds or White has a decisive advantage. Computer, I'd say, goes somewhere in the middle, plus 0.4, which it's very hard to interpret in this particular position. Right, so you want a clear answer, White is winning or it's a draw, and you're not getting that. Anyway, after rook a2, which we were arguing is the most natural move and also the move that you play without spending much time, White, interestingly, has 2 possible promising moves, the h-pawn, but 1 or 2 squares up. And one would say it's just a matter of taste. No, it's a completely different animal. So if you go h3, and then, what was the fancy line that I said White was winning? Yeah, rook d2 controlling both files, and then e5 indeed is very good, White is winning. You have a better alternative, which is rook to b2. So now if I go to d1, you go rook b1, trading the rooks, right? So instead of going rook d1, this time White captures on a5.
Right.
And rook, say, c2, rook b7. Yeah, I guess you have to defend the 7th rank. You go e5, White's pawn up. However, if you were to go h4, now black can go rook d2, seemingly. Or no, what was the line you guys were looking at? Rook a to b2, right?
No, the other rook, b6.
The other rook to b2. The other rook to b2, and then, yeah, then the pawn goes all the way up. h4, and black has no threats yet. So computer was arguing again this rook to b2, a to b2, stopping rook d1. And I said it was different. It is different, yes, because now rook e2, and with the pawn on h3, you
By the way, we
have
do have h3, h5 included, Miro.
h3 and h5 played.
Which is a bad move.
And
by
h5
Fabi.
now is the bad move because white goes rook d1, and you go rook b2 as a check, king h7, rook d7. And if you were to take on f2, we are getting to the position that you guys had.
Yes, this was our
check.
position where the computer said it wasn't a big advantage for white, and I'm
With
sitting
the
there
pawn on
going,
h4, but with the pawn on h3 is completely different story. I
winning.
do not know why. Check. And the check. And rook f7 and rook g7. Could it be that... No, and rook g6. Why couldn't we do this with the pawn on h4, may I
This
ask?
is incredible.
So now all I see, guys, that this one is completely winning for white. I guess we just collect the f6 pawn. And possibly with the pawn on h4, there would have been some rook f4 move, question mark? Like attacking the h4 pawn. Maybe h4 pawn itself is a weakness.
wow.
But anyway, if we reach this position, this is winning. So let's go back. After h5, white plays rook d1. h5 is the game position, is that right?
Yes, that's the live position.
That is a light
Rook d1,
position.
white is winning. As simple as that. Rook d1, white is winning. That's what
an easy
machine
move
tells
to
me.
find. It's the most logical looking move.
Well,
Yeah.
of course, bringing the rook to the... And there's no question that Fabi was calculating that he expects Hikaru to double on the 7th.
Yeah.
And he did not want to see rook takes g7 check and rook takes h7 check.
We're getting some moves.
So he put his pawn, pardon me, on the h5 square, not to lose both pawns with check.
Critical moment right now in the
King
live board.
h6.
If we update the position on the live board, so
Yes.
Hikaru has to include the check first.
After
The line we're
rook
looking at, if he
d1.
goes rook d7, that's what we were looking at yesterday. Then it's not winning.
I see.
But including rook d8 is the key.
So in this position, which I believe is now the live board, so we were looking at rook to d7,
And that, for some
rook
reason, gives
takes
up
f2,
all of the advantage.
rook takes g7 check, and
King f8, not h8. H8
ki-
is still bad.
okay, king
King
f8.
f8. And black is
Now we can understand why. If king h8 is bad and king f8 is the equalizer, now we get to understand why the inclusion of rook d8 check from the live position is important. So what we want to do is force the king to the h file. So we start with a check, only move. We now go here. We now take on f2,
all force and moves.
and now we
takes-
take here. Now, king h8, we understand, gets to that position that Miro showed us with rook
Hikaru's
f6.
done it. He gave a check.
Look, rook d8. My goodness.
Do you think Hikaru, and he had such a painful game against Wei Yi that he didn't win in a rook end game. That he was
Exactly.
winning.
Exactly.
This is his second chance in another 4 rook end game.
Wow. If he goes king h6, he has played king h8.
H6, I think h4, and you're getting checkmated there.
Oh, even. Make it simple. Actually, let's show that because that is absolutely a beautiful pattern that we should all know. H4 and whoop. And in the immortal words of Larry Christensen, you get them from behind. No h4. So king h8 on the board.
Yes, Fabi's in big trouble. I see the eval bar. Like, if I wasn't seeing the eval bar, I would think, okay, black's down a pawn, it's scary, but I wouldn't think it's over.
Over.
Engine tells us it's completely over. But with
I'm with
accurate
you.
moves again.
No, seriously, I'm with you. I mean, I would think, okay, I've got the doubled rook. The pawn on g2 is extremely disturbing.
Yes.
That means that white's king is absolutely safe, whereas black's king is definitely the target. Now, the line I think Miro was showing us was something like a rook f6, rook g6, or rook g6.
That's the winning idea.
Wow.
Which is not hard to find, right?
So you give checks, guys. Sorry to interrupt, but in this position, so that's the difference. You give check and another check.
Yep.
And king f8, one more check on f7.
Yep.
And this is where it's different. So you could have reached that with your rook being like, with your rook being on a7. So this way you get to attack f6 with both rooks, right?
Yeah. And by the way, just a couple things. If you go back to the Wei Yi versus Hikaru game, Wei Yi played the move h2 to h4,
which was a mistake.
Which was a mistake. Here he's played h2, h3,
the correct
which makes all the difference in the world, and a decisive win for a decisive result, a win for Hikaru, would absolutely put the kibosh on for Fabi.
He
drops to +1, but he'd be 2 points behind.
He still has to play Sindarov, but he had 2-point distance with, what, 6 rounds to go?
Let me just update my board.
We
Sorry.
assumed this endgame was a draw. We kept saying, oh, this will be a quick draw.
Well, especially after rook takes a2, I was expecting that we would be seeing a rook trade, like one of those
rook d2 and
rook to d2 and da-da-da-da-da. But no, we're not getting that. For those of you joining us late, a big mistake was played here was the move h7, h5 question mark. That could be the undoing of Fabi. And this move, I might even give this move a double exclamation mark. Rook to d8, because you have to see why king f8 is the right move. And now... this
is the current position, and we're waiting to see if Hikaru will find all the right sequences, couple of checks, and then you set up the rooks on f7, g6.
Wow, we have some updated chances of...
Yeah, let's have a look. We have an interesting graph. Updated chances for win for Fabi and Sindarov. Oof.
76, 77%.
Looking very good for Sindarov.
And this is...
Everything changed after round 4.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah, they crossed.
Yeah.
There was a big advantage for Fabi. Fabi was a better than 50% chance of becoming a challenger yet again. And then, voop, voop, it's all gone wrong for Fabi.
That game where Sindarov and Garry discussed that in length. It's not just that Sindarov beat Fabi, it's how he beat Fabi. That was very impressive.
It was a comprehensive win. No
one beats Fabi like that.
For sure.
I can't even remember a game like that.
Well, Garry himself just asked, when did you see Fabi lose such a game? Usually, in contrast, when two giants meet, like you saw Fabi and Hikaru, and usually you keep on the pressure, and yes, you're winning. But you always allow your opponent one opportunity. Naka did not take advantage of the opportunity. Fabi was disappointed that he'd even given himself that opportunity. Here we're seeing Hikaru seizing the chance when it was offered.
Yes,
move h5.
Again, he's finding all the best moves. We have a couple moves on the board. He gave the check.
Did he? Let me just click my live update, and I want to get Miro to jump in. And he's played rook h7. Miro, why is this position so bad for Fabi?
Right, so he simply drops the f-pawn. And to illustrate, please go rook h7 to g7, which is a wrong move. No, the other rook.
No, this was just made by Hikaru.
That was played. Yeah, that was played. So he's doing it right now, rook f7, and you cannot go to e8. That is also important, that you cannot go to e8 because, and this is cool, rook to b7.
This is beautiful.
And then you take g2, and the white king puts on its running shoes, goes all the way to b1. After you check, it goes all the way to b1, and black king cannot be saved.
Yeah. Yeah, white king heads all the way to b1, so that rook on b7 can be protecting the check, so that's it. There's no defense from mates.
How pretty is that? And again, this this line illustrates even better why the pawn on g2 gives shelter for white versus absolute seventh control that Hikaru has. So this is why you can't go in the current position. Oof, oof, oof. Okay, Miro, you can't go to e8. You have to go to g8.
And then check with another rook, rook h7 to g7 check. And this is how you achieved that you attack f6 2 times, right? Because otherwise your rooks would be tied to one another, right? One rook would be attacked with the king, so you wouldn't be able to attack f6. And now f6 is just dropped, so next move, rook f7 takes f6, I guess.
But does black have nothing? What about the a-pawn? Can we run?
So why am I crying? So hold on, no, seriously, we're enjoying the match from the comfort of our studio. We've got the chess engine. And in Fabi's mind, he's seeing this position. He says, what the heck? I'm going to get a 2 versus 1 ending. I should just be fine. I'll go rook here.
Yeah, sir. Apparently, threat is not rook f6. It's e5.
e5 again. Yeah.
And
what?
e5 is winning.
Oh, everybody was telling me you're going to take the f6 pawn. Would you please take the x6? Okay.
E5 just comes out of nowhere and wins
so
the game.
if I go here.
Okay, if you do that, then I'll take on f6 with the g rook.
With the g rook?
Yes.
Okay, I was going to get.
This is the only way you can trade rooks, yes.
Right.
But you didn't get to take one of my pawns.
Right. That was why I wanted to start with rook c2.
Exactly.
So I would, yeah.
That might be what Fabi missed from FR when he played h5.
So maybe in Fabi's mind, he was prepared to play this. You would take on f6.
And it's
maybe like me, he has missed e5.
E5
So
just
now
ends
you're
the game.
threatening to make a checkmate in construction with your pawn on f6, and I don't have time
That
for
will be a cold shower if he plays
f5
this end.
because e6, and it's all done.
Hikaru finds
But
e5.
e5.
He has still yet to play rook g6. It's not on the board yet. He's thinking.
Oh,
but
sorry.
What else
This
can
is
he
the
play, right?
current position.
He's just done it, actually. As soon as he moved it back, he played it.
Right.
Okay, Fabi has 10 minutes.
Okay, so this is the
he gonna
winning
spot e5?
threat. The king is frozen. This rook is frozen, or rather tethered to the protection of this rook. And that's crazy. Even if I play this,
e5 still wins.
e5, no rook takes e5. That hangs the f2 rook.
This is.
Oh.
If he missed this from afar and now he's noticing it, can you imagine what he feels? Because
Well,
he thinks he has a draw.
Yeah. Again, these two have brutalized one another's chances in these candidates. If you go back to Toronto, you say, oh, the two friendly Americans.
Friendly.
You know.
No, really, I think if one of them wasn't playing, the other would win every time, right? But when they both play, they end up always having a decisive result and knocking each other down.
Knocking each other out. Well, this would be a huge...
Hikaru's first win, by the way, in the tournament, if he pulls this off.
Right. Naturally, his first win would be against his compatriot. Wow. Oh, dear. Miro, I'm looking and looking and looking, and, you know, give Fabi fans some hope if you could.
Well, it's really hard to do. I'm with you on this theory that he did not take e5 into account. I just checked, and rook c2 would have made a draw. Rook a to c2, if there is no e5, if white has to take on f6, it's just a draw. Now, apparently the best move is rook to f4. After capture on f6, you trade on f6, and you do nothing. You go king g7, you drop one more pawn. I think it's just winning. Yeah, takes. There is no immediate counterplay. So basically, I think you'll end up losing the A and the H pawn. You'll take C and E, and that's it.
Wow.
So it's just a winning position.
What? Wow. What? Having just arrived in Cyprus, we're delighted that Maurice can join us at this moment. Maurice, welcome to Cyprus. Lucky
thanks,
dogs.
guys. I was just there a couple of days ago, and now I'm here just landed literally, when I tell you, just took a shower, and I'm now trying to get a sense of what the place is like. I go downstairs, I see people we know, see our friends, of course, Anastasia and Irene, wish Irene happy birthday. And the first thing she says to me, when she says, "Oh, Maurice, you're here, I can go home now." I said, no, you got work to do. And then she says, "Did you hear that Naka's winning, Fabi's losing?" I said, what? What kind of news is that to hear as soon as you walk in? So a pall has definitely descended on this place. I can tell you, I've seen the FIDE officials as well. They were hoping for some kind of real buzz and excitement, but this development has got everyone wondering if the tournament's not simply over.
Right. Well, we had we had Garry on a call, and Garry was saying his great hope was that there would be some drama, some interest,
tension until the end.
Tension to the end. Not.
Yeah, we often see this happen. We all want drama and interest. We want it to go down to the last game. We want tiebreakers.
Right.
We want to see suffering, fighting. We want to see a battle royale. This, however, is your greatest fear, that when somebody takes a big lead, they can start playing very solidly. As we saw, Sindarov didn't play exactly totally solidly. He did sack a pawn. I was able to catch that and get this counterplay and was able to make this draw. And if he keeps that up, he says to everybody else, "You got to catch me. Let me see what you can do." And the closest pursuer, of course, is Fabiano Caruana. For him to lose now and drop back to 50%, Nakamura would go to -1. So he's nowhere near. No, this would mean everybody would be at 50% while he's at +5 with 6 rounds to go.
6 rounds to go, yeah.
That's going to require, the only way he loses this tournament is if he himself has disastrous results, loses at least 2 games, at least, if anyone is to catch him. And at the moment, we don't even see someone who is pretending that they could pull away from the pack.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I misspoke. I think Fabi would be a +1 still if it were the loss, right?
A loss.
Hikaru, who's at -1.
Because he's at +2 right now. So he would be at +1, but even so, it's +5. The gap. I had a nice little storyline before this round that maybe all Fabi needs to do is outperform him against everybody else and beat him.
Right.
And then he'd catch him right away. It's pretty easy, pretty straightforward, I should say. Now I'm going to have to make up some kind of cockamamie story.
A new speech.
Even I'm not going to believe.
A new script. A new script is necessary. By the way, for what it's worth, Fabi did see the move E4, E5 coming, so he has played Rook F4, his best chance.
But it's still not looking good.
It looks terrible. In fact, it just looks completely over after Rook takes F6. We've got a situation where I'm threatening checkmate. And a material up. It's as Roman Djindjiashvili would say, White has the attack and the compensation.
Maurice, I have one question for you.
I heard you say I have one question.
Yeah.
Do you
I didn't
miss
hear
us
you.
yet?
What's the one question?
Did you
repeat your question? I didn't hear you.
Do you miss us yet?
Oh, do I miss you guys? Well, I miss beating you guys at Ludi, but apparently I'm not going to be able to play against you. Well, okay, I didn't beat you yet. That's unfortunate. But yes, absolutely. But it's beautiful here in Cyprus. What a gorgeous island it is. We've had a great trip getting here. Wonderful vibe. I should point out, they don't just have one fan zone. They've expanded it to 2 fan zones. Great VIP suite. I did see Chris Littlejohn, who is Nakamura's second, and he was subdued about this victory. He, of course, wants his guy to win games, but probably as an American, he's thinking, yeah, but now the tournament is actually over if this happens. So as much as an excitement it is around such a wonderful tournament, it looks like it's extremely well run, everything going smashingly well. But except one person is smashing everybody else very well, and that is Javokhir Sindarov.
We see some of the fan zone that you've been talking about. What was it?
Oh, it's a cute sign. Go Hikaru.
Okay, we've got
Says,
fans.
Go Hikaru, you're the best.
Exactly.
I got to tell you, I walked up. I literally, like I said, just landed, and it was a bit of a ride to the hotel, beautiful Cap St. George Hotel, and I go in, and we're checking in, and a fan comes up to me with a little paper and pen, and I'm thinking, oh, he's looking for an autograph. And he looks at me and says, "Excuse me, could you help me get autographs of the players, please?" Okay.
Now that's a smart fan. I mean, I like that. Somebody get that kid's number. I like that guy.
He's
He was about 10 years old, and I was just sure I was,
Yeah,
used to
of
get
course.
I want the real players, and I had no power to get him autographs. On top of it, to make it matters worse, I couldn't even help him. I probably was like, "Get out of here, kid." No, actually,
if you had said, "Well, who would you like?" If he said, "Oh, please, Peter Spidler, he's my best," I think Peter would have obliged you, Maurice.
Well, oddly enough, he came up to me with Anand. I was talking to Anand, of course, the great Vishwanathan Anand, who's here, and I had luckily bumped into him again as right there at the reception desk. And Anand, he didn't ask for Anand's autograph either. Maybe he already had Anand's autograph. So yeah,
Just wants
I'm
the
trying
players.
to figure out how to save face here. But Vishy himself, he thinks this tournament is in a very bad situation. But he is here rooting on his young Indian lady stars. And he's very excited about those games. Really, the king, the ambassador of chess, worldwide, of course, but in India as well. And he's rooting because if they can make that good comeback and catch Anna, then, of course, all India will be cheering.
Yeah, and of course, Vishy isn't just an ambassador to the game of chess, although we think of him. He's the deputy president of the FIDE itself. So he's in Cyprus as the FIDE representative and until Arkady returns, the president of the FIDE returns. So nice.
Actually, Arkady was there too.
Oh, was he?
Arkady was also in the lobby. I bumped into everybody. Emil Sutovsky was also there.
The whole FIDE.
all the FIDE royalty was there. Arkady is leaving tomorrow morning. He says tonight will be his last night, at least for now. He didn't tell me future plans, but Emil tried to put a spin on it when Emil said, "How are you guys seeing this tournament? How do you feel about the tournament, Maurice?" I said, "It's terrible." First words out of my mouth, "It's terrible. Somebody's running away with it." And he was a bit offended. Like, "What do you mean we put on this big tournament in this beautiful place? You're saying it's terrible?" I said, "That's not what I mean. I mean, we just wanted a bit more drama." Yeah. And he made the same spin I did, said, "Oh, it could be drama. It just has to, that big matchup when they meet, that's going to mean a lot. Right. Put a lot of pressure on the kid." And I said, yeah, I agree. But now we're all wondering, is it really over?
Exactly. Again, you're absolutely right. And our congratulations to FIDE. And I mean it sincerely. It's a marvelous prize fund. It's obviously a beautiful location. And it's clear from the footage that I've been seeing that the Chess Federation of Cyprus and chess fans are enjoying the fan zone. It was very nice. Maurice, thank you for joining us. We're going to get back into the games themselves and to see what Hikaru and Fabi have done.
Thank you, Maurice, and keep
thanks a lot.
Fabi's spirits up.
Yeah, keep up your spirits too.
I'll see what I can do.
By all means. Miro, since Maurice joined us, do we have some moves?
Well, in Fabi's game, there were not. Rook f4 was the last move Fabi played. Hikaru's thinking. So you have two good moves. One rook takes on f6 and the other rook takes on f6.
Both are good.
Both are very good.
This should be straightforward winning. So the biggest change that we have is Anish now having a winning position against Pragg, if you trust the engine.
Really?
Yeah, and it all happened not too long ago. I mean, they were playing this position, right, which we said, yes, it's better for white, but we've seen cases of black saving this once. And all the way there, I will not really kind of delve into each move, but basically all the way up to here, Black is still holding, but this was a really, really tight moment. Pragg didn't have enough time to find perhaps the only real resource, believe it or not, which was bishop to b5, rook e3, and bishop back to a4. And you'd ask me, what's the point, right?
Yeah.
And apparently you really need a piece to protect the king side. And in this case, that would be the bishop. So by annoying this rook, by going bishop b5 and back, you're aiming at c2 and then to get to g6 or e4, of course. Yeah, e4 would be a great square. So in fact, Black is threatening to go bishop c2, bishop e4. And that helped Black survive. And there are lines like starting with knight f5 and so on and so forth, but basically Black is holding. And after queen f7, e6, queen g6, it's just positionally over, kind of. Rook f2, rook c4, and now computer claims white to be winning with the moves like king to h2 and so on. So slower fashion, king h2, rook e3, rook g3, knight f5, Black collapses.
Thank you, Miro, for that. So if Anish wins and Fabi goes down, they'll actually be tied.
Tied with +1.
But they'll be 2 points behind Sindarov.
Yeah, and at the same time, I mean, this is kind of, for Anish, this is a slow crawl emergence from the basement because he actually started very poorly.
He lost the first round.
Exactly. And then if he wins this game, pardon me, through the next 7 rounds, he'll go +2. Which is impressive.
I'm trying to think, Maurice was doing some kind of math. I'm trying to think for Fabi. So both Fabi and Anish have to beat Sindarov for their own chances, but also for tournament to be still exciting.
And then they would all be +3?
All would be +3, exactly.
Right, beating up Sindarov.
We can have three-way tie break. That's fine.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's what needs to happen for someone to slow down Sindarov. Otherwise, he can win 3 rounds ahead.
Wow, to clinch the candidates with a round to spare. I
Maybe
remember
more than
when
a round,
Nepo did that, and he immediately lost the last game
because
he probably celebrated one day too soon.
Yes, and mentally he was already
gone.
Preparing for the match.
Right,
yes,
he checked out as soon as he clinched the tournament. But it really has been an extraordinarily successful event for Sindarov, one of the greatest results ever, in fact.
Yeah. And actually, let's show, we have some graph. So, first seed blues. Magnus Carlsen in 2013 is the only pre-tournament first seed to win the candidate. So apparently, first seeds are cursed.
Yes, it's not easy.
Because Fabi was the first seed 3 times. And not the time that he won. He won in 2018. And he wasn't the first seed then. But 2016, then the one that played for 2 years, 2020, 2021. And last year, 2 years ago in Toronto, 24, he was number first. And he did not win.
Right. And again, Hikaru came into this event as the first seed. That was the only reason why Fabi was not the first seed.
Because Fabi's not the first seed, there was hope that he would win.
Right.
But right now...
Okay, so Anish Giri, I'm just like looking at this position, and again...
I'm sorry, to interrupt you. There's another game completely finishing up. Wei Yi is repeating moves against Matthew's Bluebaum. He found... We were expecting actually some kind of play there because we liked his position, but...
We thought Wei Yi was the one pushing.
He just sacked the rook on h6 and is repeating. He's giving perpetual. So
that's a surprise. Maybe he felt that the rook on h5. I mean, he's kind of forcing a draw. No.
I don't think I'm missing a checkmate. I think he is playing for perpetual.
Whoa.
Right? King is on g8, queen g6. Yeah, they've repeated once.
King g8.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Miro, jump in on this one. Was this a premature draw by white? Uh-oh.
Yeah, I think it's, you can see by the engine that it says 000, so. But we're going to take a short break, and you'll be joined by Ben Underwood. He has something prepared for you. Enjoy, and we'll be back shortly.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to your continued break coverage of the 2026 Candidates Tournament. My name is Ben Underwood, statistician for the St. Louis Chess Club. Now, we're going to be hanging out, talking about some statistics of these players. We're going to be looking at a couple of the past tournaments, and then we're specifically going to look at what is it going to take for Fabi to make this comeback. It's not looking so good for him right now, but I have the stats to talk about it. Let's go ahead and jump right in. Now, this is the percent of decisive games per round in the candidates since 2013. Now, what you see on this first half of the graph versus the second half. Now, in those first 7 rounds, it's a little more volatile. You know, we've got some rounds at 50% decisiveness versus 14, but this general average tends to stay around 34%. But then that halfway mark hits, and we don't have a round with a typical decisiveness of 43% or less. So we can expect some more decisive games, and it makes sense. You know, players are starting to see these standings go ahead and settle in, and they're like, you know what? If I'm going to make a run for this World Championship Challenger, I'm going to have to win some games. I am going to have to take some risks. And that is what we typically see after the first half. We're going to see more fireworks coming. Now, what is that going to look like? Here are the current chances to win the tournament given my model. Sindarov at 79%, Caruana at 18%. This was after round 7. So Sindarov sitting around 79% takes into account a few factors. You've got the head-to-head scores, recent tournament performance, a few different ELOs in there. But one limitation of this model is it doesn't take into account the performance rating of the current tournament. So Sindarov at an unprecedented 3,000 plus performance rating so far is not exactly considered by this model. If I were to look at this, I'd put him at almost 85%. And now looking at Caruana's position, possibly way, way higher. And it's going to be a steep climb. Caruana is going to need a big plus score to go ahead and reach this. No player has gone +4 or better, though, in rounds after round 7 in the candidates since 2013. There's been plenty of players to go +3. We have Kramnik, Karyakin, Ding, Rajabov, Gukesh, Nakamura. But that +4 score is hard. It's never been reached, and Caruana is going to have to do a lot of work to get there, especially since Sindarov sits right now at +5 and 6 points. Before we go any further, I've got a puzzle for you to solve. Go ahead and take 3 seconds. This is from the 2024 candidates between Firouzja and Gukesh. White to move and win in this position. Now take a look at these clock times. This was from a game where they had, I think it was under a minute to make 12 moves or more. So there was a lot of blitzing, a lot of blunders to be made, and a great winning puzzle by Firouzja's move. Go ahead and take 3 seconds, pause, and we'll be solving this at the end of the break. Now, we keep talking about, what does Fabi need to do well in this candidates tournaments? But that's not to say that he hasn't been performing really well already. We have this current tournament performance rating after round 7. Sindarov sitting at the top at 30.59, Caruana at 28.45. Now, after round 6, Sindarov was at 31.50 and Caruana at 28.68. These are huge numbers, and in comparison to the previous candidates winners, they get even better. So Nepo, number 1 in 2022 with 29.03, Sindarov crushing that number already, and Caruana's own 28.88 sitting in second position. But if you take a look at the numbers down this graph, you would see that Caruana's current second place position right now would earn him a spot in between Nepo and Anand here at the bottom. So he's performing well. It's just this monstrous performance by Sindarov that's making him look a lot worse than his performance currently is going. And let's take a look back at this first seed Blues. Now, Caruana is not the first seed right now, but he has been the first seed a number of times, only finishing second, 4th in 2021, and 4th in 2024. Magnus Carlsen being the only pre-tournament first seed to win the candidates. Now, looking back to 2018 when Fabi won the candidates, he was only the second seed, I believe, behind Mamedyarov. And so we got to look a little bit into these expected scores on how Fabi might be able to make his run later on in this candidates tournaments. I have him at an expected 3.93 points in the second half of the tournament. Now, how this is done is you look at the win percentage plus half of the draw percentage, then sum all of those numbers together to get this final score. You can go down the graph, you see Sindarov right there in the middle of everyone and Bluebaum at 2.93. Looking at this graph, there's only a 1-game difference between the last place Bluebaum and first place Caruana in the expected points. Now, this is typical. The standard deviation as the rounds actually go into progress usually gets a lot wider in every tournament. But as you simulate all of these rounds together, these are the expected values and how they bunch together here in the middle. So Caruana, you can see it as kind of like a +1 expected value. Bluebaum at a -1, maybe a little bit more, but this obviously turns out to be a lot different as you actually play the games. Now, how has Fabi done in the first half or in comparison to Sindarov? I had him at 3.98 expected versus the 4.5 that he scored. So he actually beat his expected score in the first half of the tournament with a +2 score at 4.5, but Sindarov over here at 3.68 crushed his expected score with 6 actual points. Now, can Fabi make it up? Maybe, but this is what he has to do. His easiest 3 games of the second half are in the last 3 rounds. Sindarov's easiest 2 are today and tomorrow. So basically what I'm saying is that Fabi would have to keep pace with Sindarov, which is not looking very good in his current game versus Nakamura, and then go ahead and attack those final 3 games or beat Sindarov to have any real chance. We had some blunders. Just 2 additional last round, bringing the total tournament blunder count to 29. Esipenko on move 25 had the most significant blunder of round 7 with a 40% drop in expected score. Wei Yi on move 24, a little bit of a computer blunder with a 30% drop, still went on to win that game. We're going to take a look at Esipenko's quote-unquote blunder right here with the H4 move. What does it allow? A brilliant by Wei Yi with B4. What's the idea? You cannot take back this rook with the bishop. The queen will take back and you're in a mate in 7 immediately along that C file. So what has to happen? Esipenko blocked with B3, but after a series of trades, you're eventually going to lose that queen on F2 for one of the black rooks, and just a few moves later, Esipenko resigned. Back to the puzzle. Go ahead and take 3 more seconds. What is the final winning move for Firouzja in this position? It was rook takes F7. Now, what's the idea here? You can't push the pawn because you're going to get into some Arabian mates, maybe some double rook mates right here. Gukesh got out of the way over here on H8, but after the knight came to F8 and then a push, we get this position. Second part of the puzzle, take 3 seconds. Where is the mate in 2? That is right. Go ahead and check with the knight on G6. King is forced to move over here to G8, and rook takes G7 is checkmate. Thank you all for hanging out. We're going to get right back to your candidates coverage. If you have any questions about statistics, please throw them in the chat. But now, with Yasser, Nazi, and Miro, we are back with your candidates coverage.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you, Ben, for all the statistics you showed us.
Nice.
Let's have a look at results so far today.
We have one, and it was a big one.
It was a big one, absolutely. Tournament leader Javokhir Sindarov managed to equalize quickly against Andrey Esipenko and finish the game in a draw, which is good news for him because the players who are chasing him are not doing so well.
Exactly.
And in the ladies, there hasn't been any result yet, but let's remind everyone who's leading. It's Anna Muzychuk in clear first with 4.5. Only half point behind her is Indian Vaishali, and then 4 players at 3.5, chasing Anna and Vaishali.
Yeah, but I'm seeing the game between Kate and Alexandra as being a victory for Kate, so she's going to be moving up the standings. But the big story, well, actually, we have another announcement, which is...
Yes, we want to wish happy birthday to one of our team members, Irene Sukandar. She's in Cyprus. She's been working with Anastasiya on social media and interviewing players. I hope she's having a good day and celebrating today. And
our congratulations,
thank you
Irene,
for spending your day with us.
Exactly. She showed up to work. I would have called in, given it a break. The big news is the game between Hikaru and Fabi. Hikaru has chosen today, of all days, to win his first game. He's well on his way to victory. At this exact moment, the two players have reached the time control, but there's too many white pawns on the board, and very, very simply, Hikaru can force
a6.
Yeah, after rook c2, he could go.
You can trade a couple of pawns. You take c4, I'll take a5, and then give me h5, or leave the e4 on the board. So.
Exactly. You're welcome to play king g6, but then after rook e5, 2 extra pawns, that's more than enough to win the game. And if you do trade, then...
Yes, sir, are there any chances for Hikaru to mess this up? I don't mean some huge blunder. Just like, does he still need good technique, or is it super, super easy?
I think at this point, unfortunately for Fabi fans, it is super, super easy.
Wait, he just played king rook c5, though.
I think it's the same. It's transposes.
All right. So, Miro, update us on the other game. How's Giri and Pragg doing?
Well, we have, in fact, 2 games running, right? And Wei Yi with Bluebaum seems like heading towards a draw, perpetual check. Anish seemingly is in a winning situation. Remember, I was showing some bishop b5, bishop a4 nonsense to keep the game running. After queen f7, white was already in full control. And there was one more mistake played by Pragg, h5, which is understandable. You're in a time trouble. You think rook g4 is a threat, so you cover the g4 square. Queen f2, e7, bishop e4. That's what we've reached the time control with. That was move 40 for Pragg. And Anish gets extra half an hour, and all he has to do is to take on e4 and go rook f8, king h7, trade here, go queen to f5, and white's completely winning. g6, queen f8. Black cannot really stop the pawn. So rook to c8 runs into knight e6. It's a little bit of a fireworks, but nothing that would stun this players, right? So that's a relatively easy tactic.
Yep.
So just eliminate the bishop on e4. It's still very, very annoying, right? And then go straightforward check, followed by check, followed by check. So I think Anish is getting a win today.
Wow, and again, the way he's crawled back into the tournament, very, very impressive.
Yes, he will be tied with Fabi if Fabi loses his game. They'll be sharing second place, 2 points behind Javokhir Sindarov. And actually, they're making a lot of moves, Hikaru and Fabi. Let's
jump to it.
Game.
Because unfortunately, as we've been mentioning, white is simply 2 pawns up and well on his way to queening one of them.
So I actually haven't seen many endgames with 2 extra pawns that are split like this, e4 and h3. What's the plan? Just start pushing one of them?
Well, yes. Start one and only one, right? Mm-hmm. But the one that your king is going to guide. So what you want to do in this position is literally put a check. You want to bring your rook, check, and then you want black's king to define where it's going to go. Is it going to go towards the center, or is it going to go to the h file? If it goes towards the center, then you try to promote the h pawn.
Goes to the corner.
If you go to the king side, then
easy.
It's very, very straightforward. As Victor Korchnoi would say, the ABCs of chess, Miro, and what a dark day for American chess fans. I mean, power to Hikaru.
Yeah, I mean, I always root for Hikaru. I'm always happy when he wins, but today is the only exception.
Not the day. Today is an exceptional day. Miro, no trickies that I can see here for Fabi.
Right, I'm looking at what we call table-based nowadays, right?
Yes.
For those of you who might be new to chess broadcasts, not only we have what we call an engine, the computer that suggests the best moves, when the material is limited to, as in this case, to 6 pieces on the board, right? And sometimes 7 pieces on the board, we have those positions pretty much solved. So now I click on a table base and I see, let's say I'll make a move for black. Rook a2, planning to attack from a side. And table base tells me that more or less any sane move for white leads to a winning position. I do not win if I say play rook b5, but that is, I imagine, rook a4, rook e5, and then you start chasing the rook. I think that is relatively easy, right? So that would be a blunder for me to go rook b5. And then, of course, I can lose if I blunder the rook. But anyway, so you just make normal natural moves like king to g4, move the h-pawn, move the e-pawn. Not a lot of chances for black.
Exactly. Not a lot of chances at all.
This all happened so fast because Fabi did well in the opening, in the middle game. It looked like he equalized. But Miro did make a point. We were calling the endgame draw a little too quick. And he said he still needs to be accurate. And it was just one move, h5. And that's it.
Wow.
So fast.
Yeah.
It just happened too fast. I haven't adjusted that suddenly Fabi is losing.
Yeah, it's a little bit stunning for me as well. I'm still a little bit surprised. Wei Yi hasn't made the perpetual.
He's thinking.
I thought that was long ago somehow in the books that we had 2 results.
Rule 40, so he probably went out to get some snacks.
I see, and just kind of like making sure that after alternative moves like queen.
Right, let's try queen h6.
Right.
And if you go back to g8,
right.
Maybe knight g5 is something.
Knight g5. So, okay, you are threatening me with a mate.
It's not even a mate, it's just check.
I can't. I have to cover like this, don't I?
The thing is, white always has perpetual, I think. So that's why he can add some extra moves. Maybe throw in d5 for no reason.
Right. Yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's still going to be a draw, I believe.
Unless, can I introduce?
I mean, we're doing a full rook. Now, that's loss.
Yeah. I can't take too many liberties, but we're expecting a draw here. That would be our third drawn result in the open, but we are expecting Hikaru to win. Miro, as far as the ladies are concerned, we haven't talked about Anna Muzichuk, who is leading the tournament. How is she doing?
Right, let's see. At some point, I've been checking. She was in a dominant position. She's still better, and yeah, let's just look at the position after move 41. So they've reached the time control. White's better because of, I imagine, 2 things. The pawn on h6 still alive, so the king is, the king is threatened, plus the a passed pawn. So I'm not sure. So if black's to play, so if black was to just trade the rooks, you cannot really take on h6 because queen c8. But something like rook c7 might still be playable, I'm wondering. Because white's very close to just closing the game off, but something is still missing. You still have to find the decisive punch. Like a pawn is not running too far. Well, after rook c7, black actually wants to take on h6, so you don't really go a6. I guess you could protect the pawn, but then black starts giving some checks. So I imagine, why is it not like fully comfortable, right? Mm-hmm. By the way, here, rook 6 to e4, which was move 41, so theoretically past time control. Queen h5 would have been easier way to victory. That's all I have from the computer. I imagine you're probably threatening to take and go rook e8. I guess if I was to take here, yes, rook f6 is your trick. And then if queen takes, it's a back rank checkmate. If pawn takes, it's rook e8. And again, you cannot survive with such a king. Right, so it looks like Anna might convert it, but she was completely winning earlier on. Mm-hmm. Like that's how position did look. And somewhere, yeah, even earlier there was basically like full dominance somewhere around this point. It looked like Black might as well resign in a couple of moves. Divya, if anything, she's lucky to still be in the game, but Anna still has a chance. So that's her leading, and who's half a point behind?
Vaishali.
Vaishali. What does Vaishali do? Vaishali against Bibisara is a, well, completely drawish rook endgame, I imagine.
And just to remind everyone, the current standings, Anna Muzichuk is leading the pack with 4.5. Vaishali only half point behind. And then there are 4 players full point behind Anna.
But I'm expecting Kate to win against Alexandra so she could jump in case Vaishali draws a game into a tie for second. Yeah. And Anna, talk about seizing opportunity, a last-minute replacement for Canero Humpy, who stepped out.
I guess she's just ready to play anytime. She doesn't need months of prep.
Right, it doesn't have, all of that nerves that
she's
build
very.
up.
I think she's played every candidate that I can remember in women's, so she's very experienced. So it's a great last-minute replacement for sure.
Absolutely. I'm looking at the game between Kate and Alexandra at this moment. I love everything about White's position. She's a pawn up to begin with. She's got the 2 bishops and very active pieces. I might suggest a move like King F3, simply defending the rook on E4 and prepping the win of a second pawn.
And yes, I have a question. If I play knight D6, would you go into the opposite color? No, right?
I can't lose such positions. Bishop takes.
You are going for it.
No, I'm just saying that I wouldn't.
Yeah, Black wouldn't lose this. Yes.
Well, I wouldn't think that this is winning.
No, it's just one extra pawn. No.
Just for that reason only. Yeah. It's just simply only one extra pawn, and Black's king is actually pretty
if you could play King D5 and take C5,
totally different
chances,
story.
But Bishop G1 exists, so this can happen.
But I wouldn't trade. In fact, I'll just drop back with the rook, something like rook E3, and I would expect with the 2 bishops, the extra pawn, that Kate would win. I'm going to jump back to the open. Where would you like me to go?
Well, I'm looking at the open. There's no Anish Giri is very close to winning his game, so we can watch the end.
And in fact, he just did the exact sacrifice that Miro had predicted. He's played the move rook takes E4, anticipating that the rook will be captured.
Move is simply Queen F8.
I think we were actually throwing in a check first.
Not necessary.
Well, I liked it because there's a mate. I'll show you the theme that I liked.
If I go G6, yeah.
The theme that I liked was that with the pawn on G6, I'm now threatening knight G5 mate. That was why.
That's prettier.
Yeah. And you can't play king G8 because I'll pick up the rook.
Yeah. But then you still have to win this without, because you're giving me E7 pawn? After king G8, queen E6, you will take the rook, but I'll take E7, so you still have to win that.
Well, okay.
So it's better to just go queen F8.
You think so?
Yes.
Okay. Queen F8, and no.
On rook C8, you can still go knight E6 or F5. I'm not sure which one. Probably both winning. Okay. Yeah. So you're threatening queen G7.
Mate.
So Black has to play like queen G6, give you the rook, but you also keep the E7 pawn still on the board.
And in this case, I also even have knight F8 check as well.
I think we will probably see a resignation here. Maybe Pragg will play a few more moves, but...
And let me just make
Anish
sure.
getting his revenge on Pragg because that was the first game that Anish lost against Pragg.
So Hikaru is returning. Revenge. The only player that wasn't true to form was Andrey. If Andrey had won against Sindarov, that was a draw. But
yeah, that would have been exciting.
That would have made the tournament a little bit more intriguing. We do have more moves in the game of Hikaru and Fabi. Again, for those of you joining us late, it's one of those very, very tricky 4 rook endings that was a draw, but it was Fabi who needed to be exact. And there was a single move that was very inexact, h5, and that turned the tables. And to his credit, Hikaru's played incredibly well. You know,
Yeah, he chose today to play a really
his
good
best game of the tournament, our #1 seed.
His accuracy is over 97%.
Proving why he's the #2 player in the world, and justifiably so. Rook G1 check, King F3, Rook check on the board. We're
I don't
expecting.
think anybody was questioning that why he is world #2. Everyone just assumed he's just having a tough tournament and he's out of form because he hasn't played classical chess in a very long time.
Indeed, his focus has been a stream.
It looks like the
as
first
well.
7 rounds was the warm-up.
And then he got warmed up,
Yeah.
right? Now, we have seen this before in candidates play, that Hikaru
Starts
has
badly.
been one of the best comeback stories ever in
Like in
candidates
Toronto,
history,
started with -1 and then finished with +4.
which is extraordinary. Well, could he return to
But
form?
here, I believe he's at -2, so his comeback will be...
Even more epic should he get
If he
get it
wins
going.
next 6 rounds, yes.
Wow, extraordinary. And well, the epic comeback would have to begin today, but also against Sindarov.
Absolutely.
Who else is to beat Anish?
Everybody.
You
He
just
has
got to
to
beat
beat
everybody,
everybody, yes.
and I hope somebody else also beats Sindarov, because
But-
that young man is a
Yeah, he's unstoppable. He's on fire.
2 points ahead.
Anastasiya with Javokhir Sindarov.
Javokhir, you made a draw against Esipenko. How did it go for you today?
Yeah, I played a very well game, very good preparing, and after the prep I got position from my analyze, during game, and position is really very nice to play.
And speaking about time, what do you do with your opponents that you make them think for so long?
In general, I'm preparing very well, and that's all. Yeah. After the opening, I was always trying to have a lot of time, and probably that's why I got in every game like more than 15-20 minutes, even more.
Yeah, it should be feeling really comfortable. But speaking about the rest of the event, like 6 rounds for you now, it sounds like short or long term?
I think it will be one of the longest week, but I'm okay. I'm ready to fight with everyone, and if I have chances, so I will try my chances to win any game also here.
And speaking about energy level from 1 to 10, how would you describe it? Because usually the second half is always like a little bit more difficult to play.
Yeah, it's a little bit difficult, but I played a lot of games very fast, and I have a lot of energy, so probably I spent like maybe only 20 or 30% my energy for first half.
Sounds really good. And the last little bit tricky question, Javokhir, there's been a speculation on your preparation being leaked on the internet. The study room was public, but now it's private. Would you like to give any comment or clarification on it?
If in leeches,
Yeah.
I don't think. At some moment I really opened some studies and checked with computer, and I forgot to do like private. So, today I don't do this. Probably it's a long time ago in World Cup I do it a lot. Yeah, because some my fans even write me like, "Hey man, your studies was like not private. Everyone can see." So then I understand. After this, I'm really trying to don't open anything in the studies.
Yeah, so now you're more careful about your prep.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, it's a really important event at the moment, and tomorrow you are playing against Bluebaum. Yes, Matthias, and you made a draw, I think, in the first round, let's say first half of the event. What's your plan for tomorrow?
So my plan was like usual, play solid, and let's see if I got chances. I will try to push, but I'm not in the situation where I need to take big risk.
Exactly. Thank you so much, and all the best. Luck for you.
Thank you, Anastasiya and Javokhir. That was a great interview. I didn't know about the
I didn't know
league.
about that's not kind of funny, making all of these private, secret analysis, and then the whole world is actually.
It was probably just the one game prep that was leaked, not the entire
files or whatever.
Prep. Yeah, of course.
A game we have not touched on is the game between Tan and Zhu, the number 1 and number 2 seeds in the ladies tournament. Top Chinese
Tan
women.
is not having a good tournament.
That's an understatement. I think it's actually time to start to resign.
In the last game, remember, against Vaishali, she blundered a piece in one move.
Rook A1, the one square the rook doesn't go to and allows rook takes F6.
No player can recover from that.
That
this
is just
what we're seeing today.
Exactly, but I'm seeing Zhu having these connected pass pawns, but even more than that, these absolutely gorgeous knights. Normally you don't see that type of a coordination. So I'm expecting that Tan is going to lose this game. In fact, does she have a move?
Move up to the second place.
In this moment?
You
can't play King F2 because that's a fork on D1.
You'll have to play King E1.
You can't go King E1 because that's a fork. And there you go. You got to go King G1.
That's sad.
And that's just really ugly.
Other knight comes to D4, threatening 2 different forks, by the way.
Hello.
Oof. She's already down 2 pawns as well.
Did I mention the 2 pawns? Yeah. So again, for Zhu, this will be a huge win with the black pieces. Anna, as Miro was explaining, is winning her game, and
she's better, but she was much better before. Now it still requires a lot of technique. DVI has some kind of a setup where it's not that easy to break. It's very passive, but do you see the eval bar? It's not saying it's over. That's what I'm basing this on, by the way.
I see. Yeah, no, I would just be thinking, boy, with this pawn on first of all, with the passed pawn on A5, that's just absolutely huge. And then with the pawn on H6, which is just so nice. It's like.
By the way, we do have an update in the open section. Anish Giri has officially won his game against Pragnanandhaa.
Well, let's take a look and how he finished his victory. When we lifted
Queen F5 and
Queen F5, that was all Pragg needed to see. And again, I didn't think of Pragg as a dark horse coming in. If you had told me that Pragg would be fighting for first at this moment,
I wouldn't be surprised, yeah.
I would not be surprised. But he's been having a very poor event by his standards.
By his standards, yeah. He only lost to Sindarov until today.
Right.
Which is not a big deal. Sindarov beat everybody, but then some draws, and today's loss definitely makes it. It's done, right?
It's
GG,
done.
as Anish would say.
GG, but for GG Anish Giri, this has given his tournament new life.
Absolutely, he's sharing second now with Fabi. A big win for Anish, congrats, and Javokhir drew his game. The other 2 boards are still playing, but we expect Hikaru to win his game against Fabi.
So again, for Anish, it looks on paper great. Sindarov is 2 points ahead of Anish.
But he hopes that he himself
win,
beats Sindarov and then somebody else beats him as well.
Including Fabi, and suddenly take a look at our schedule because we have a playoff. 3 players will be.
We're dreaming.
Yes, that's the dream. Well, we've been looking statistically at all of these games, and 15,000 simulations. 15,000 simulations. The simulation that we have today is like number 15,000. I didn't see that at all. I didn't see Sindarov running away with the event. I did see Fabi and Hikaru beating one another because that's what
that happens all the time.
They do.
Exactly, they always.
That was crazy. But again, I'm going to go back to that game with Hikaru and Fabi, and this is what we're looking.
Line score of Javokhir Sindarov. Look at those ones. And we all talked about this. So the first half, incredible result. In second half, he himself said in the interview, he doesn't need to take any risks. He can play solid chess and make draws and let others win their games to catch him, which is, we all know how difficult it is to win games in this event.
Yeah, seeing that line score with all of those wands instantly brought back a memory of Banja Luka. Banja Luka, Yugoslavia, held a tournament that was really famous for the best of the best. And Garry Kasparov was this young guy from the Soviet Union. Nobody knew who he was, but the Yugoslavs had these cross tables that they gave out. It's kind of like a program booklet. And Garry was winning game after game after game. It was like, it was +6, something marvelous. And you could see all of these Yugoslavian chess fans filling in their cross tables, and you would see one cross table after another with all of those ones lined up. It really a result for the ages. There's just no other way of putting it. And I'm back on the game between Hikaru and Fabi. Fabi's doing his best to hold on, and the last move was rook on h.
But Fabi really doesn't have any game. He's just waiting to see how Hikaru converts this. It's just a waiting game for Fabi.
Yes, but as Miro once showed us, there are ways of messing things up a little
There's
bit.
always ways. That's chess,
That
right?
is
It takes
true.
one move.
Yeah. Oh, in this case, it might take more than one. That's that fun. Jump on in, Miro, on this one.
Right, I was checking this one with the table base, right?
Yes.
Looking for the way for white not to win, and honestly, I failed.
That bad.
So as long as you, you play reasonable moves, you do make progress. Something I'm struggling with. So that's what I would try to do. Let's say let's imagine it's a blitz game. I have to play by instinct. So I want to bring the king and start moving the pawn, right? So I go here, for instance, and then black's all moves for black are the same because all of them lead to lost position because it's a lost position already. So I go rook a5, and let's say I start giving these checks. Now, something strange happens because when I go to the table-based database, it says any move is winning. So let's say I go here, and then I forget about the database, and I just give checks. So I go checks, again, look here, everything's winning, king b4, go rook a1. Now, apparently, oops, the database is glitching. Now apparently you have to go back to the C file. If you pass, then it's a draw. So you have to go to C4, for instance, or C3 or C5. And then I give a check. And then among other moves that win, computer says king b3 is also winning. And I go back, and then you have to go to the C file. So I'm honestly confused. I do believe it's a winning position. I do believe that Hikaru has the capabilities of winning, but all I'm saying is still not over. You still have to show the way how to win it.
It looks like some kind of a loop.
Precisely, but it shouldn't be, right? We know the table-based kind of final answer. There is no arguing with table-based normally. And yet, right.
That's the idea, the human idea that I see, starting from the current position, if we can pull up Yasser's board.
Yeah.
This is what I see, which is very easy. King e3.
Okay.
And then I'm going to play rook g4, rook g5, because you can never take it.
So king e3, I'm going to
rook g4.
Rook g4, and I don't know, should I go f6, h6?
Go
Let's
f6,
go f6.
rook g5.
Rook g5. So you're inviting the trade of rooks that I cannot do because this is an easily winning king and pawn in game. Yeah.
Right.
Like this, and as we learned in high school.
Elementary school.
Elementary school. Okay, in your case, I didn't start playing chess till junior high. That's right.
Wow.
So, okay. So you go rook g5. You basically kick my rook away. So my rook goes down here.
King f4.
King f4. My rook goes down here.
And
you
now
go e5 check?
Yes, I absolutely give you a check first
to drive my king, I presume.
Drive it, rook g6.
Oh,
drive
dear.
you again.
Oh, dear.
And now I can go rook g4.
And now you're looking...
And on king e6, I go king g5 and...
Oh, you even let me take the pawn.
Yes, h5.
H5 or king H5.
Because black king is cut off. Perfect. If it was on F file, of course, it's a draw, but it's not. So.
And you're 100%. God.
Well.
Okay, so king.
The engine seems to agree with me, so yes, I'll say I'm 100%. King
Right.
G6. H6.
And that's it.
Yeah, that's it. You do have to calculate, but it's not that much to calculate.
That's true. And for these two, especially, they're great calculators to begin with, but I'm sure they're familiar with this. So I liked your rook g4, rook g5
Yeah,
idea.
I think
that
it's the
looks
most simple
like,
idea.
like the cleanest and very, very nice indeed.
Once black starts all those checks, when our king is all alone, I just don't see where to hide it.
By the way, rook g4,
Yeah, he's
king
definitely
f6 on
going
the
to go
board.
for this.
Yeah, nice.
Seemed like the most human approach
Right.
to this endgame.
Miro, I'm going to toss it to you. Where do you see the action?
Well, I got captivated by this game. Wei Yi with Bluebaum, by the way.
Yes.
By the way, at some point, you kept calling that it should be over, and I thought that's true because king f8, I see the notation, it's king f8, king f8, king f8, so I thought 4 times, 5 times repetition. However, black pawns continued to disappear, so in fact there was no threefold repetition, right?
Right.
Check here, and then Wei Yi done something honestly unthinkable to me, because he spent nearly all of his time, you see 7 minutes left,
Right.
and he went knight g5. He went knight g5 here. Oh, wait a second. Knight g5, yeah.
Okay.
That's the one. It's not like knight g5 is a bad move. It keeps it within draw territory, and black probably has to be precise with knight d4, even though I suspect other moves do not lose. But the game goes on, and he left himself with very little time on the clock. So this, the combination of the two, I'm surprised with.
Yeah, it's like...
So if you wanted to continue, like you could decide on it a little bit faster. At least that's my thought.
Right.
And the longer he thought, the more I was convinced, okay, he'll just burn all of his time and go for the perpetual.
Right.
So the line goes knight to d4. Now queen g6 is the only move. You guessed it, king f8 is the only move, otherwise you're getting checkmated in one. And then white has perpetuals. White has a move like c3, which computer cites as equal, but you never know. Rook b6, queen to h5, and something's going on. White is a rook down, black king is in the open, white has an attack, white almost always has a perpetual. Now computer gives 3 lines which lead to equal position for black, so I'm generally confused. There is no, how do I say, there's no immediate way of securing the draw with black. Let's say I've decided to go knight e2, you take my knight. I cannot take back, it's queen f7 checkmate, right?
Right.
So I have to play some, I don't know, some awkward move like knight b5, not a human move if you'd ask me. My king is under attack and I'm moving a piece away, right? And then knight h7, and apparently there is some perpetual, which by the way, you go king e7, you go rook e6, wow. Computer lines are fun sometimes. And this is a perpetual black gives, because it's a check, and you go here, and they go here, and they go here, and some funsy perpetual in this position. So the game's not over, all I'm saying.
It definitely
After
isn't over.
Still be a draw, most likely.
Yeah. Okay, but I'm with you, Miro. In those situations, I've sacrificed a rook. I have a perpetual check, but then for whatever reasons, I think, okay, let's still explore chances of victory. I look at the clock. I go, oh, my opponent has less time. Now I'm definitely going to explore the victory.
For sure.
Oh, no, I have much less time. I'm going to make the draw.
But Maurice is back with us. Welcome back, Maurice.
Thanks very much, guys. I got a chance to finally go into the tournament hall itself. They're keeping various slots open when you can actually go in, and you go in and then you can't go in again. I was very surprised by that. But you got to, it's also about fair play. I had to give up my phone, of course, and we went in, and the intensity in the playing hall, as we all know, when we play chess, people are extremely quiet, but these are high stakes games, and you could just see everyone intense. Both the the Open and the women playing together, of course, and just absolutely great games. I got a chance to watch Anish in his game and that great play that he showed. And then afterwards, he was analyzing in the press center, and they analyzed together. It was Anish and Prague. Prague at first did not want to go. He, of course, just lost his game. He did not want to go at all into the press center, but a little coaxing, and he decided, okay, fine, whatever. And then when they were analyzing, Prague was as lighthearted, didn't look like he had lost the game. That virtually eliminates him from any contention whatsoever. He was smiling, showing variations, seemingly already resigned to the fact that it's almost impossible to catch Javokhir, and for him, it really is truly impossible. I also got a chance to talk to Anish or ask a question because the press got to ask him questions, and I asked him, chances? Do you think you are still fighting possibly for first? And he said, well, I always think that when you have any mathematical chance, you must fight for the victory. He said, when I was born, literally going back, as you know, Anish is quite a funny guy. He said, when I was born, I had zero chance of becoming world chess champion. Now I have a mathematical chance. Got to go for it.
Got to go for it. Zero chances. Thank you, Maurice. Keep those tidbits handy for us there. I see that Mateus is actually on King E7.
Yes, he's going for this variation.
So
let's check once again. So we take on E5.
Yes, we do. And we go back. And
Queen
if you
F6.
go Queen F6, I have King D7.
Queen G7, and then another perpetual.
Pause.
Because if you go up with the king, you're probably lost.
Here's what I was looking at, if you don't mind. Forgive me. Takes. Check.
King H2.
Check.
You wanted knight f3.
Yeah.
Actually, here it's a bit tricky. If I take, you do have a draw, so I'll have to go King G2.
Check.
The thing is, I didn't have to take on E8. I had knight E4, which was what that was winning on the spot.
I didn't see knight E4.
Yeah, here after King D6. Check first. That helps.
Well, that, and then another
F2
check.
is safe now.
Yeah, and another check.
No. Rook E6.
Rook E6.
No,
you don't need
check
it.
and then we take, as long as F2 is safe.
That's the difference. So you get knight E4 check, defending F2 with a gain of time, rook takes. Now on rook check, I don't have...
F2. You have knight F3, but no longer have rook H1 ideas.
Right, because I'll just take it, and queen F1, I can move my king. Knight F3 check,
King G3.
King G3.
And that's it.
And that's it. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I guess this is what Wei Yi spent time on.
trying to check.
All his time. But here after Queen G7, of course, Matthias
will not
go King D6 and lose the game. He will take the perpetual.
Right.
Go King D8. Only move.
So just a moment. King D8, Knight F7 check. You can take it. No, what's going on?
Yes, you can. But I'm taking your something back. After Rook E5, Queen F6 check.
Right. Oh, F3.
I can take it.
Oh, those nasty forks. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, King C8. And
Whoa.
No, we don't want this for white.
No.
So Knight F7.
Well, there are 3 connected passed pawns.
Yeah, but it's
It's 2 rooks and a knight versus a queen.
Yeah.
Wow, Miro. We're just we're on suicide watch here. We're trying to lose the game.
I want to say I wanted to declare this one to be over until you've opened my eyes to Knight F7.
Right.
Because if White wanted to, and I think Wei Yi, having played all that, not going for a perpetual check, he wants something, he will play Knight F7.
I don't think so.
Because now, Queen F7, Rook E5, H4, well, computer tells me it's, equal, but who knows what's going on, right?
2 rooks.
2 rooks and a knight, yes. The pawns are running. Black king is in the open, so a lot of checks potentially. I don't know. Like, from the looks of it, I would prefer to be white in this position. I had something somewhat similar, playing pieces against the queen with these pawns running, and it was equal through the game, and I've lost blundering stuff. Right, but again, if you're a computer, you can say, but wait a second, I can go king d7 and you don't have anything, which apparently is true, but can you really play this? King d7, and then, yes, Compi says, yes, if you go here, I go here, it's a repetition, but you have moves like knight h6, for instance. I know, you can still go back. Because after knight h6, I could see computer also going to c6, but that is just showing off. Yeah, I guess if black finds king d7, there is not more than just a perpetual. But this looks scary.
Yeah, I'm not sure after queen f7 that I would rather be white, because two rooks and knight, very scary against the lone king. What about you, Yasser? I'm split. I would maybe pick black.
You know, I would think with the queen, I always have some kind of perpetuals.
They are repeated, by the way.
I'm just
knight
not
f7
sure.
is happening.
No knight f7 is. Well, I remember it's still one of those funny cases where I was playing my friend John Fedorowicz, and John was the white pieces, and he came with great ambitions. We got more or less an even position on the board. In those days, you could offer a draw. So it was something like move 25. I offered John a draw. He thought for about 10 minutes. Then I had this theory. Whenever they thought beyond 20 minutes, they always accepted the draw.
Exactly.
John thought for like 50 minutes. He declined. Yeah,
Whoa.
he declined, lost badly. And it was like, dude, why didn't you take the draw? At a certain moment, he forgot.
I forgot you offered the draw.
It was pretty funny.
Hilarious.
It was bad. And we do have a result.
Yeah, officially.
Was it officially? Okay.
And it's a draw between Wei Yi
Wow.
and Matthias Bluebaum. So far we've had one decisive game, and we're expecting a second one. Let's see how Hikaru's doing.
Let's do it. We're going to go to Hikaru.
The rookie
Again,
sees on
an
the
absolutely huge game for Fabiano's tournament. And it's this round 8, that Hikaru decided, wait a minute, I'm Hikaru Nakamura. I'm the #1 seed in the tournament. Let me play like I'm the #1 seed.
As long as he keeps doing that every round, they'll be fine.
Right, but not just to save his
just for
very
today,
best
right?
for his countrymen.
Would you push h5 here? I don't see downside of h5.
I would, with both hands, push
Right.
with h5, and then with both hands play e5 as well.
Absolutely.
So anything that can advance the pawns up the
Hikaru's
board.
actually taking a lot of time, so they are way past the time control, and he's down to 11 minutes.
Right. The one thing you have to just make sure that you don't prematurely lose the pawn. But in this particular case, I think this is the way to go. But also, when you go king here, isn't there something to be said for trying to get the king?
King f4, king e5, yes.
Yeah.
That would probably win the game faster even.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Get the king in front of the pawn. By the way,
Push the
h5 is on the board.
You can go from d4 too, you just go in front, right?
Yes. Certainly.
And if you start checking me from the side, I can temporarily hide on f4. Yeah, I like the arrows, exactly, highlighting.
You know,
What
it
we were
was
trying to
one of those funny puzzles that I like when I have these children's classes. So I take everything off the board. All that's on the board is a white king on e1. And I say to the kids, okay, kids, how many moves does it take to get to e8? They're very happy. They say 7. And I say, how many ways can the white king get to e8? And they start thinking.
In 7 moves?
Yeah. They start thinking.
Oh, there's a lot.
People start saying 20 and 30 ways. And the smarter kids go 100. And it's something like 1,012.
Oh, because you could, right.
You could zig and zag and do, and it was like, what? The kids are all like, they're crying because their guesses were so low.
And suddenly they are understanding how many options you have on each move.
That was what I was trying to say with the lesson. And that's just having a lone king on the board.
Yeah.
Right?
When you add
more pieces.
16 pieces on the board.
But the arrows there, get the king in front of the pawn and then start nursing it.
Hikaru has played e5.
Well,
he's not even including the king at the moment.
So the only trickies I see is somehow you try your best to pin. I don't know.
Rook e5, king, yeah, then I bring the king.
I'm trying to and trying to get to a line like what Miro was showing us a moment ago, right? Where you've got to bring your king.
We're closer.
Yeah.
Yeah, one row closer.
Yeah. Miro, jump in on this one. It's too straightforward, is it?
Well, it kind of is. And in your analysis, if we could still have your... Okay, I'll use my board. I think that was easier to go to f6 with the king. But before that, I stopped in one particular moment, the moment before h5 check. Yeah. There's nothing, nothing chess-wise, nothing interesting, but to showcase how sometimes useless the computer analysis or computer help is. So now I have my table base open, and it says, doesn't matter what you do, or maybe it could be a task for you guys. Can you find a move that makes a draw for white? Believe it or not, but there is no such move. If you do not blunder a rook, which would be rook f6, rook f7, rook a5, and rook f1. Right. So 4 moves, rook h5. I guess 5 moves lose for you, and all the rest wins. So you can imagine how winning the position is. If deliberately you are looking for a move to make a draw, and it is just not there. Right, so h5, e5, and then I think you were going with the checks, right?
Rook a5 or something.
And I just thought, like, you go here, or maybe even like immediately to e6. So basically what I want is I want to hide here.
f6.
Right?
Oh,
I want
f6,
to hide here and then go
So you
e6.
get to play e6 and shelter.
Right, something after h5, king h6 that I've recalled, that's a position I've shown many times to students with the king cut. It's also a win, even with only one pawn. So that is, once again, confirms on our theory that it should be relatively straightforward. This is one method of trying to fight, right?
Okay,
the cutting
that's
of
tricky.
the king.
Yeah. No, e6 is too fast, though.
And then, and the problem is e6 just wins.
Rook a6, rook
e6,
e5.
rook a6, you go rook e5, and I guess black's problem is that somewhere here you cannot capture e7.
That's a big problem.
It is a big problem indeed.
By the way, thank you, Miro. We do have another result.
First result in the women's section. Vaishali, who was in clear second coming into today, has drawn her game against Bibi Sara. But actually, I'll draw your attention to Anna Muzychuk's game. She's no longer winning. Looks like DVS saved the game, and now it's going to be a draw.
I'm looking at your board.
Well, it's not over yet.
Yeah, but I'm seeing the h6 pawn is missing. They got rid of that. And the rooks are off as well. So, let me just bring that up. There it is. So Anna Muzychuk, our tournament leader, down also, if I'm reading that right, to 55 seconds.
But they have 30-second increments. They're playing with just the increment right now. So you can take on b4, and white only has one passer now on a6, and it's a draw, but yes, sir, we've commentated on enough queen endgames to know anything can happen.
Exactly. Well, I had this 2-volume books by Alexander Alekhine, which still to this day haunt me. He was a remarkable tactician, and one of the things he had was this crazy ending where he was 3 pawns up? No, he was 3 pawns down in this, it was in this queen ending where it was like even, then he was a pawn down and slightly better, then he was 2 pawns down and much better, and then he was 3 pawns down and winning. What? And the idea was that the most important pawn, so you can just imagine, for example, a6 check, so just to get some kind of that Alekhine game. So here you can imagine you got
I see what you
3
mean.
pawns.
Yeah.
But it was the one pawn. It was the quality of the pass.
Quality over quantity.
And then he was completely winning when he got that to 3 pawns down. And I was like, I was scratching my head. Whenever I was ahead in material, I thought this was great for me. So Alekhine's down by 3 pawns and winning the game. So queen endings
make you think you don't understand chess.
Exactly. On the other hand, I just did see one tricky. There is a mate threat on the board, right? So you can't. It's not like you can take the pawn.
Yeah,
I can't
take it.
Are you
c5 check probably, and then king g8 or something?
And just
unless I can take pawns with checks somewhere, but I don't think I can.
I hope you're. I was trying to hide. I think you've got a
you are.
perpetual on the board.
Yeah, that's true. I can just keep chasing you.
I
Yeah.
mean, I go to h3,
Yeah.
I'm not escaping. So likely this game will end in a draw. And should that be the case, Anna will keep her lead. How about Kate? How is she doing?
Caruana is completely winning, has 2 extra pawns.
Did you win her game yet?
Not yet, but she's also winning. So we expect 2 decisive results in the women's section. It would have been 3 if Anna converted her advantage, but now looks like 2.
All right. Well,
And the open section about to be over. We have 1 game left, and Hikaru's put in the final touches.
all right, I'm going to switch over to the open tournament, and we do see e5 on the board. And Fabi is probably just, I can't imagine what thoughts are going through his mind as he suffers yet another loss to a player
And
that.
Esther, what do you think caused his mistake in the end game? Because Fabi is fantastic in end games.
He really is. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I thought, if you don't mind, I'll go back to absolutely a key moment. I thought the moment I saw this move by Fabi, Queen E7, I thought,
That's a draw.
that's just, look, I
Black
mean, there's
has
nothing,
nothing.
No,
No
no.
weaknesses.
it's all good. Right here, he starts somehow not including King F7.
That was very questionable.
But it's very strange too,
Very strange,
because
yeah.
in your mind's eye, you're saying, how can I lose this game as white? How can I lose this game as white? My opponent will put a rook on e7.
It's black, yeah.
Oh, as black, pardon me.
2 rooks on the 7th.
My opponent will then play rook to d1 and rook to d7. So if I go king f7, my opponent will have to double rooks on the d file, and that
not as
won't be the
scary.
danger.
And black king can always go to g6 afterwards.
Exactly. So rook b2 is already, in my mind, a step in the wrong direction.
That's the start of all the mistakes, I think.
Exactly. And then it was this moment of not realizing that you should be playing rook b7, king f7, rook c2, and making sure that this rook stays passive.
He really underestimated 2 rooks on the 7th, and then that h3 move was perfect by Hikaru. h4 was not as good.
Right.
h3, he plays so precisely.
Exactly. Now here, again, I was thinking that, okay, should I try to force a trade of rooks? Should I go rook here? Should I play rook here and then against rook d1, shadow the rooks? h5.
That's what the big mistake was.
And maybe he just overlooked this move, rook d8 check, because rook d7 would have allowed king f8.
It's either that or he completely missed the e5 idea that we were
And then this is the key moment right here.
But he can't play rook c2.
Right. Maybe from afar he had calculated rook c2, rook f6, draw. e5 clears the cobwebs. That's like, that's it.
So
That's party over.
I wouldn't say, you could say based on this that Fabi just miscalculated, but not including king f7 tells me that he was just
He
off.
had a bad
He was not
game.
being himself today.
And let's be fair to Hikaru. Hikaru has played wonderfully.
Hikaru was being himself, his usual self. He played great.
No, he really did. I mean, and you tip your hat. If your opponent, is making mistakes and overlooking important, subtle.
He got an opportunity to win today, and he never gave
took
it back. Yeah. Yeah, current position after e5, Fabi still hasn't made a move, but I think he's just calculating that there's no trickies.
No trickies.
Nothing he can set up.
Right, and
Now, if the pawn was on f-file, that would be a draw. It's still not an easy draw, not for me at least, the f and h pawn. Theoretical draw, but it's so hard. We've seen even Magnus didn't win when he was winning, and vice versa. It happens all the time.
Absolutely. No, I'm not very confident either about the h and f pawn draw.
Yeah, but at least if he had that, he'd be trying to save that. This is just over.
Yeah, e5. So this is our current, and again, for Fabi's fans, bad news. He's going to drop from -2 to +1. Anish will join him at that +1 score, but it's Sindarov who's sitting pretty.
+5?
blows my mind just even
The
hearing
hearing
you say
plus
it.
5, right?
Yeah,
It's
just
still
hearing
hard
you say
to
it.
believe.
Yeah, right.
And tomorrow, Fabi and Anish will be facing each other.
No kidding.
Yes.
What a matchup that is going to be. Who does Sindarov play?
Sindarov plays Matthias Bluebaum. He has a
Wow,
second
with the
black.
white piece.
Second
Oh,
black.
he's running the second black in a row. I'm looking at
Because
round
remember, Javokhir
9.
started with 2 whites,
Yes,
and now the second half of the tournament he starts with 2 blacks.
very, very. Well, for Sindarov, a big test was today. Andrey wanted to return the favor of the round 1 defeat that he suffered. He didn't.
Today he did not allow anything like that. Sindarov equalized so precisely. Garry actually was very impressed that he gave up the pawn without thinking and then forced the draw.
Yeah, very impressive. And Mateus, so far what we've been seeing in Mateus's games, draws has
It's been very solid. He lost to Fabi, but other than that, he's been very solid. So tomorrow we can expect Hikaru facing Andrey, Fabiano against Anish. These 2 players
huge game.
sharing second place, and of course both of them have to win every game.
Yeah. Essentially, yes, to catch this runaway train.
Sindarov, yeah, with black pieces against Matthias.
Miro, do you have any particular insight on this young man, Sindarov? Have you crossed paths and know
Well,
anything about him?
Something that I told you before today's show, that's half public information, I guess, that I was told by a friend who worked with different Uzbek players, and it was, let's put it this way, it's a strong opinion of one of the best players in the world that Sindarov is the most talented of Uzbek generation, and you have Nordibek Abdusatorov, who at some point was number 5, and my friend put Sindarov up there in front of him. So I imagine that tells you something. The man's very talented, and the other thought that I have, we, again, for years, we were debating if chess is a sport, art, or science, right? And then I hear Sindarov's interview for FIDE Chess, and he comes up with, you know what, I like video games, and I thought, oh, man takes this game as the video game, and he's very, very good at this video game. So maybe that's the right attitude. Like, it's never been B2 serious. Right. It's never been to study like a science. That maybe just play, and he's amazing at it. That's what I had to say.
Yeah.
I've never heard anyone call chess a video game.
No, I haven't either. Still, we've got some results before I tell you the story.
Yes, in the ladies section, Katerina Lachno won her game, and she jumps up to share, I believe, second or maybe clear third place at the moment.
But yeah, what a roller coaster ride that she has been on. My favorite quote is the one of Vishy Anand. He was being interviewed by an Indian journalist, and the Indian journalist said, Vishy, what is it like? What is it like to be the world chess champion? Vishy, well, you know, every day I feel like an athlete, a competitor. Some days I feel like a scientist, other days I feel like an artist, and some days I feel like an idiot.
Perfect.
It's just a great quote. I mean, but every day I feel like an athlete.
No, that's a great quote.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep repeating that now forever.
I know.
This game is officially over. Hikaru Nakamura wins his first game, taking down his countryman Fabiano Caruana.
American fans are sad, but
this is so
sad.
strange. I want to be happy for Hikaru.
I do too.
I can't help but be very sad for Fabi.
Exactly. Wow. Boy, that really shakes up the tournament. And again, you know, we have these 15,000 tournament simulations, and I'm just wondering.
I don't even want to see the pipe.
Yeah. I just want to see, you know, like which simulation number is this? Which parallel universe?
Yes, they're coming into this round. Sindarov was at 80% chance of winning the tournament. After this, is probably at like 92.
Yeah, I think he was close to 76% or whatever pie chart it was. But now it just went whoop. And well, Garry was on, and he was saying, boy, I hope that we have some interest in the event.
Current standings after 8 rounds. Javokhir Sindarov Incr first, 2 points ahead of 2 players. That's Fabiano Caruana and Anish Giri, who now are sharing the second place. Then there's a tie for 4th, and in clear last, it's Esipenko.
Well, it's nice to see Hikaru in the middle as opposed to being at the very bottom of the. But what a time to play his very best chess, and he did it today at the expense of Fabiano.
We hope he keeps going.
Yes, yes.
He used to play like this every single day, beat everybody, including Sindarov.
Exactly.
And then maybe we'll have some tension towards the end of the tournament.
Did we have some results for the ladies too, or are they
I think there's one game still going.
Okay.
Anna Muzichuk, 2 games actually.
So what has happened so far is this.
Yeah, this is what we have. Bibisara drew Vaishali, and Katerina Lakhno won a very important game against Garry now. The rest of the players are still playing. Anna Muzichuk was the... Oh, wow, wait. As I was saying, my bad, I jumped to Anna's game.
She's worse. She's worse. She dropped... What? She lost her A pawn?
We have to check this out.
Something very...
She loses this, that changes the tournament completely.
Hold on. Check this out. So Anna's a little bit better. Anna's a little bit better of the draw. She's the one with the more dangerous pawn. Like, for example, she could easily play queen b5, queen b7, force a perpetual check. So she's a little bit better. King h3, queen g4.
Where did that come from, the checkmate ideas?
Right. Suddenly, I remind you, your king could get checkmated.
Just walked into this.
Oh my gosh. So
she had to give up the pawn to not get mated.
Oh my gosh. Well, I can see that the bar says the position's still even. You haven't lost the game. But the moment you play this move, then
because let's not forget, Anna's playing on 30-second increment. And here, Divya messed up. Queen e3 is not a good move.
That was the mess up move?
Queen d7, and apparently it's
that's a check.
Completely winning for black.
Wow, okay. But let's get to the current position, because this is our current position.
Actually, there's no perpetual, because I have queen g5.
Right, or queen h6. Yeah.
Divya might take down the leader.
Wow, well that would...
lost game. More than once she was losing.
Wow, that would really shake up.
Wow, the time trouble, right?
Yeah.
As Maurice loves to say, the time trouble makes fools of us all.
And then the huge matchup between Tan and Zhu at the top.
Yeah, Zhu is winning.
Okay.
What's going on here?
No, I mean, a moment ago, I'd seen 2 dominant knights. There was a knight on e5, there was a knight on d4. They're gone.
They're gone, but...
And white's actually a piece up.
You're taking b2 as well. You're going to have 4 pawns for that bishop.
And e3 and a rook check, and e2 is going to hurt your feelings.
But I wouldn't say this is over either. Zhu is down to 1 minute. After what I just saw happen in Anna's game, I'm not calling anything.
That's it.
Very exciting day in the women's section today.
I would say a completely topsy-turvy day. Very, very crazy things going on. We're going to wind up our coverage of this absolutely extraordinary round 8, but we're going to invite Miro, who's just arrived, to share his thoughts on this extraordinary round.
How was your first day, Miro?
How was your
first day was perfect. As always, I have to complain about something because I felt robbed. When this second half has started, I was promised that this tournament's going to go. Intrigue will stay till the very last round. And, there is a fair chance we already know the name of the winner. Right. However, if in the ladies section, if the games will finish the way they currently stand, we will have a 4-way tie after today's round. So, theoretically, we will have an intrigue till the very last day, and we might have a tiebreak in the ladies section.
Well, there's something to look forward to. Thank you, Miro. And then again, a big welcome. Lovely to have you aboard. Happy to know that Maurice has safely landed and got a hero's welcome in Cyprus.
Absolutely, what a day it was. We couldn't have predicted these results today. Thank you so much for watching, and join us again tomorrow, same time. Thank you from St. Louis.
Good night from St. Louis.
This has been a presentation of the St. Louis Chess Club. Any reproduction or distribution of this content without the express written consent of the St. Louis Chess Club is prohibited.